Alrighty, guys, we are live. It's been a long time, man. We haven't done a live stream since June. I can't believe it. It's
June
unbelievable.
2nd. David and I did one June 2nd.
I saw that today. I was like, man, has it really been that long? But man, if we come back in full force, though, we got a full house here tonight at the Here Report, which is, as you guys know, a part of TarHeel247.com. Promo's still going on. I'm going to blast that while we wait for some more people to get in here. 60% off, man. Awesome promo going on. Come on over and join the biggest community of Carolina fans on the internet. I'll try to put a link in the chat, but a link is already in the description as well. But I'm Jacob Turner, got Andrew Jones, as you know, got Noah Weiskopf, Reichen Fuller, making his YouTube debut. We have Jarvis Hicks. Let's give a round of applause for Jarvis coming in here, guys. Fantastic stuff. Fantastic
I'm so excited
stuff.
about this.
F-Doc for the boys as well, Reichen and Jarvis. Jarvis in grad school. Congrats on that, Jarvis. And Reichen starting again. You're a junior this year, Reichen. Am I right on that?
Yeah.
Beautiful. F-Doc. Full day for you guys, man. Grind does not stop on August 17th. It's been a busy day for you guys, but no, exciting show ahead, man. I'm really, really excited. How's everybody doing? AJ, we'll start with you, man. How you doing?
Doing great. A full disclosure with Jarvis. People know Jarvis played football at Carolina, tore his ACL last year, had to retire. So Jarvis knows a thing or two. Jarvis knows the difference between a 3-point split and a 4-point split. So just let y'all know. Doing awesome, man. I'm so excited that Noah's a week away tomorrow from flying to Ireland. I'm flying a week from Wednesday. Looking forward to getting there. And let us know if you're going. Send me, you know how to find me. You guys can find me in a million different ways. Let me know where you guys are going to be, and let me know where some of the establishments are. Yeah, AJ's with a bunch of young guys.
It's a tough comment. Sure. I had to throw that on screen. That's a tough comment, AJ. Nice. It's a tough look.
That's fine. I can hang, guys. Everybody knows I can hang. Let us know where you're going to be, where some of the establishments are that a lot of Carolina fans are going to be. Noah and I are going to wander around doing some stories and just trying to catch up with as many people as we can, and then watch a football game, cover a football game, which I think will be very, very interesting. We'll obviously get to those predictions a little bit later, but I'm excited. I'm excited to have Jarvis on here with his debut. Noah and I have been grinding camp big time, almost every waking moment. And Reichen has been on top of some stuff. He's been at most of the practices that we've been to as well. Jacob was there the other day. So we are locked and loaded, ready to go. I'm excited about this season. We are changing some of the ways we do our coverage, simply adding to it. There's going to be more. There's going to be more twists in how we do things. And our objective is to appeal to everybody's palate. Not everybody wants to consume this kind of article or that kind of podcast. So we're going to have all kinds of variety. So whatever it is that you like most, you're going to get it from Tar Heel 24/7. And yes, I am the old guy in the room, and I am proud to be the old guy in the room.
Fantastic.
I can hang with these fellas.
Nah, you can, AJ. Young at heart, man. Noah, how you doing, man? How's everything going with you?
All is good. Like AJ said, I can't believe it's a week away already. It feels like we were just doing the spring stuff and getting stuff ready, and all of a sudden, a week tomorrow, I'll be at the airport headed to Ireland. It's just wild. But I'm glad it's here. A lot of people are excited. And I was just thinking back to when we did this show last year. We did I think it was a live stream? No, it might have just been a regular.
It was pre-recorded,
but it was David Sist was doing it with us. David Sist dipped his toe, if you guys remember, into some football stuff. So that was a blast. I remember it went pretty long too. I think we were all talking quite a bit.
Yeah, we had a good time on that one. David's a fan favorite, if you guys don't know already. The people on YouTube.
The sense of humor.
Yeah, he's
the sense of humor with David is off the charts.
He's unintentionally hilarious. Reichen, how's everything going with you, man? F-Doc over there. Was it a nice, relaxing day for you on the Hill?
Yeah, man, I'm a journalism major, so it's pretty much every day is a relaxing day. I've got all these STEM friends running around. The world is already crashing down day one. I'm just enjoying. I'm just going to my 2 classes and enjoying my time. But excited. Last year, I started on this sometime around August 15th or then, so I wasn't quite ingrained enough to do the prediction. So I'm happy this year we're getting involved, and I'm a little bit more in tune with what's going on there on the gridiron. So
yeah, Reichen killed the baseball coverage this past year. Shout out to Raf. Shout him out every time I see him on that, because he did a fantastic job, and a guy who helped out not only with baseball, football, women's basketball, men's basketball. I mean, jack of all trades over here at Tar Heel 24/7, making his debut once again. Jarvis Hicks. Jarvis, how we doing on your F-Doc as well? A little bit different with the grad school. You told me you had one class, which is just like, that's a fantastic spot to be in. So congrats on that.
Yeah, today, 2 classes tomorrow. It's pretty similar to undergrad. It just so happens that Monday I have 1 class, but I'm itching. It's football season, so like you gotta be excited. I can't wait for it, and I can't believe it's almost been a year since I first started here, and I'm excited for everything to come. And it's football season.
Yeah, man, it is football.
By the
season.
way, is FDoc a new thing? I've seen FDoc everywhere today, and I don't remember ever seeing it FDoc before.
No,
I don't think so.
For years.
I don't think.
And we are nothing but followers in this country. You know, one guy does FDoc, everyone else does FDoc. I've seen it.
Oh, you know that. Everybody's jumping.
Basketball's FDoc tweet was about 6 hours after football's was.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah. I know. It's hilarious. Terrence Brown wearing the grills on FDoc, which is absolutely fantastic to see. I don't think he ever takes those things off. Yeah. It's got some bling in the mouth for sure. We're waiting.
Jarvis saw him today or yesterday, Jarvis?
I saw him today at Target.
Yeah.
Did you really?
On Franklin?
Yeah, I was at Franklin Target. I saw him.
Okay.
Was he wearing the grills?
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Yeah, he loves those grills. Can you play in grills, AJ? Can you play in grills? You might know the answer to that.
I'm not sure.
I
probably not, right?
Do you still have to wear like a protective mouth guard over him?
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I feel like you
probably
can't, because I feel like someone would have done it by now, to be completely honest with you. But we're not talking basketball on the show. So
now you can have you can have special mouthpiece for it.
I just don't know if like diamond encrusted.
Like even in football, the mouthpiece is different in football too. It's back in the day when the mouthpiece was attached to the face mask.
Yeah,
you'd have to put it in the boiling water and bite into it. I always had a different one. I had a folding mouthpiece.
Oh, you
I
think they still do make those. Yeah, old school though. All right, guys. We are about 6 minutes into this podcast, 7 minutes somehow. So let's go ahead and get rolling on this. We're going to do season predictions in this one. We're going to talk a little Carolina football first in terms of like the vibe around the program right now. We're going to get AJ and Noah's take as they've been all over it. We're also going to talk about, is this schedule really as hard as a lot of people are saying it is? That has been kind of an off-season storyline about North Carolina's football schedule, especially when you compare it to last season. So we're going to address that, and then we'll dive in, go game by game, get everybody's predictions in here. So really looking forward to this live stream, and we'll answer some questions throughout, as we kind of go on too. So make sure you guys are getting some questions in, and as we pick the games, go ahead and get your predictions in if you think Carolina's going to win that particular game too. We want to hear from you guys as always. So AJ, Noah, I'm going to start with AJ first though, but I want you two guys to hit on it. As AJ's alluded to already, you guys have been all over training camp. You've been absolutely killing the coverage at Tar Heel 24/7. What's the latest you can give us on Carolina football right now as of 7:10 p.m. on Monday, August 17th? What is the vibe like in the North Carolina football program right now? And AJ, like I said, we'll start with you first.
Yeah, I'll be quick on this. Training camp's over. They're learning from the most recent scrimmage, which was Saturday morning. They have a lot of film to go over because it wasn't the greatest scrimmage perhaps of all time. But it was good for them because an awful lot of education. They learned a lot. They had referees there, which is always great. So you're gonna see more mistakes when there's a lot of refs there. There's a lot of new formations with Bobby Petrino, and I think it's also important people to understand, especially those that saw our report saying it wasn't a great scrimmage at times, is that Bill Belichick told us a week and a half ago, that they had 75% of assimilation, the install, and they were going to add the other 25% based on personnel, how they went about things. So I think one of the really valuable things about Saturday scrimmage is it helps them determine what is the final part of the install is going to be for this team. So I think they got a lot out of that. There'll be something coming up Saturday, sort of game-like, and they're probably going to be pretty much in TCU mode by the end of this week. And then they need to be, because they're going to lose a day of travel, as will TCU going out there. I think the vibe is good. I think this team is pretty healthy right now. They haven't had a bunch of major injuries. I was watching Dabo Sweeney the other day, and they have had like 3 ACLs in camp. I don't know what Carolina's had in that respect, but as far as projected starters, I think they're in decent shape, even though some guys have missed some time. But overall, I think this program's a lot further ahead right now than it was this time a year ago. That doesn't mean it's going to win more games. Schedule's a little bit tougher. We'll get into that as well, obviously. But I do think things are in a much better position right now overall in the program, from a roster standpoint, from an organization standpoint, and from the people in charge understanding what they're doing on the college level standpoint. So I would say right now, Carolina fans should be at least a little bit optimistic that things might be a little bit better this year due to that.
about you, Noah? What's your thoughts on kind of where the team's at right now?
Well, we've heard a bunch that they're in a much better position than they were a year ago from a bunch of people around the program, inside the program. It's just been talked about a lot. And I think it's definitely true again. I don't know how that equates to the win-loss record. I think there's obviously a lot of different things that affect that. But yeah, they're definitely in a better spot than they were a year ago. I think at this point, they mainly know who their starters are going to be for the most part. I think there might be still a couple of positions in depth chart wise where they're still sort of figuring things out and making a couple final tweaks and maybe waiting to see one or two guys and who they're going to want to start. But for the most part, I think they've got a pretty good idea of their starters, of everything like that. So, I mean, we're really moving towards the first game, which obviously is now creeping up under 2 weeks. So they're really right where they should be. As Belichick said the last time we met with him was, look, like we're not ready right now to play in a game, but we're moving in that direction. And by the time the game's here, we'll be ready to roll. And so, yeah, that scrimmage that they had this past weekend, I think was a big start in that, being able to watch that film and then eventually get into TCU film. I think the thing that everyone continues to talk about is quarterback, and we haven't heard anything different. And I think that's the most important thing, is usually when you can continue to see the same things over and over in the camp and the sessions that we can watch. And then when people are talking to us after practices, before practices, we're speaking with people. If things remain consistent, then that's probably a good indicator, is that's the way things are going to see on the field in week 0 in Dublin. And so I think at quarterback, it continues to be Miles O'Neill. Has taken a lot of the starting reps into the scrimmages. He's been first up in a lot of drills. And that's not to say the competition's over, because again, at quarterback, things can change so quickly. A couple of straight days, and then you have to continue to raise an eyebrow and say, wait, are we making the right decision? But as of now, and we've said this, about a week ago, and I think we're pretty confident to say it again, if the season started on Monday night, when we're recording this, I think Miles O'Neill would be your starter. Of course, there's still things that need to clean up, but I think that's where we're at right now at the time we are recording this.
Yeah, it's been a fun training camp to kind of follow along, not only because of that quarterback battle, but, a lot of new players as a young team. There's a lot of kind of depth being trying to get figured out at a lot of different position groups. And yeah, again, I think it's made for a intriguing training camp now, officially in practice in preparation for TCU, because guys, we're not that far away. I mean, Carolina flies out at, Wednesday, the 26th? Am I correct in saying that is when Carolina heads
Wednesday night? They get there Thursday morning. They're getting there around the same time I am. I'm leaving Wednesday late afternoon here. I connect in Toronto, get there at 8:00 in Dublin Thursday morning. They arrive at like 8:30 Thursday morning, and they have a practice that afternoon a few hours later that typically the first part's available to the media. All previous teams that have been in Ireland and TCU's will be available. Right now, the media relations people in Dublin have not gotten confirmation North Carolina will open part of practice up to the media or even be involved in a press conference. So we'll still have to wait and see about that. But they'll get there Thursday morning and hit the ground running.
Yeah, man, we're not that far away, man. It really, like Jarvis said earlier, it's football season now, man. And that's why we're here to do the season prediction show over here at the Hero Report. But I want to talk, before we dive into these individual predictions for each game, I want to talk about and pose a question to the audience and you guys in here as well. Is North Carolina's roster really as difficult as a lot of people are making it out to be? Now, the preseason polls did come out today. You got 3 of UNC's opponents ranked in the preseason AP top 25. Notre Dame coming at number 4, Miami at number 7, Louisville at number 24. You also had 4 other teams on the schedule receiving votes. Clemson at 26, TCU 30, Pitt and UVA also receiving votes as well. So again, 7 out of Carolina's 12 opponents on this schedule, at least, coming into the season with some sort of expectation, with Notre Dame, Miami obviously having the most. So, Riken, I'm going to start with you, and then Jarvis, you can hit on it afterwards, and then we'll free for all after that. But when you look at this schedule, Riken, in your personal opinion, do you think this schedule is hard as a lot of people are making it out to be, or do you look at it and say, I don't know, man, this might be a little bit easier than some people are projecting?
I think it's tough mainly because of the draw of what games are on the road, what games are at home. Mm-hmm. When I look at the schedule, you look at the big ones that are standing out, Notre Dame and Miami, both are in Chapel Hill. Personally, I think you could play that on the moon. You could play that in somebody's backyard. Carolina's losing that game anyway, but they just have to have that happen on home turf. So now you're starting to play games like Pitt on the road. You're playing games like Louisville on the road, Duke on the road. That's tough. And I think that's what kind of contributes into the bigger issues of those are more 50-50, maybe 60-40 games. And if you can get that home crowd, that home field advantage into it, that's a game that can flip. So I think it's very tough that they have to face their two toughest opponents by far at home. And I just don't think those are games that they're going to win on the road or at home or just anywhere, because I think those teams are just way too overpowered. There's not a lot of teams that are going to beat either of those teams in general. Notre Dame might go undefeated. Miami might run away with the ACC. That's the beauty of college football. You just don't know. But that's kind of my first look at it, is that if Carolina could have gotten if they could have played those 2 games on the road and they could have gotten a couple more coming to Chapel Hill in those sort of 50-50 games, they would look a lot better. But as it stands, it is kind of tough that they have to play so many of those kind of, in between games on the road.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it. It's a fair point.
It's a good point.
Yeah, that's a good point right there. I like the way you're looking at it. Right? I hadn't really considered some of that stuff right there. Jarvis, what's your thoughts on the schedule? Do you think it's harder? Do you look at it and say, I don't know, man, maybe this is a little bit more, some more winnable games on here than some people think?
I think it's as hard as people think. And I want to piggyback off of Riken a little bit, because I feel like teams like, even teams like Louisville or teams like Clemson, Clemson may not be as good as they have been in the previous years by far, but going into Death Valley it's a hard game anyway. And on top of that, it's Clemson. And then on top of that, NC State has some dudes coming back. They got CJ Bailey coming back. Obviously, they have what's his name from who transferred here from
Bullet.
UNC.
Bullet.
Yeah, Davion Bullet, man. Heck yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah.
They're gonna be pretty. Maybe teams like Duke, or because Duke lost a lot of guys, maybe teams like that you could look at as a more of a 50-50 game, and not sort of as a lot. It's a lot of games on the schedule that people may look at and say, oh, it's a guaranteed loss or this, that, and the other. But I feel like most of the schedule is as bad as people make it seem to be, honestly. And most is on the road.
Yeah.
And I want to, especially Clemson.
No, I think that's fair. I kind of lean that way too, to be honest with you. AJ, what do you think about the schedule? How do you look at it?
If you're of the mindset that Bill Belichick needs to do X, Y, and Z in order to keep his job, and Z is, what do the stands look like in the second half of the season with a lot of home games, it doesn't line up very well, because they have one home game until they get to October, and that's East Tennessee State. So they could play well and lose to TCU. They could play well and lose to Clemson. They could play well and lose to Notre Dame. And then after Notre Dame, they got to go to Pitt and Duke back to back. So by the time they come home on October 24th, when Syracuse comes in, they could be playing fairly well compared to what they looked like at times last year, especially the first half of the season, and have 1 or 2 wins. And one of them is an FCS. And then you want people to get people in the stands. And they're going to play some games during that stretch that probably not a tremendous amount of optimism. I think a lot of people go see Notre Dame because they want to see the glare of the helmet. I love the glare of the helmet. I always look at the glare of the helmet. Every time I cover a Notre Dame game, people do that, then they'll leave. So I think the way the schedule lines up is not favorable if you look at it from that standpoint. However, I do think there's a chance it may not be as difficult, because let's look at Duke and Virginia, for example. They got to go to both places. They were in the ACC championship game last year. Wow, those guys were in the ACC championship game last year. Those are 2 tough road games to play. But what if Virginia settles back into what it's been? That was a flare up last year, perhaps. They don't have their quarterback. They do have 48,000 college snaps on the roster, which is the most in the country, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to settle back to what they've been somewhat, because Tony Elliott has been heavily criticized until last year. I think the jury's still out on him as a head coach. I think with Duke, the way that Duke lost Mensa, they also lost their top receiver. They lost their offensive coordinator. It's not like Duke just replenishes a lot. So maybe Duke slides back a little bit, and that becomes a much more winnable game. Suddenly, I think the schedule on the road is not that terrible outside of Clemson. And because Duke could be winnable, Virginia could be winnable, UConn could be winnable. They lost 44 transfers and their head coach. A bunch of kids went to Colorado State. They got a bunch of new stuff there. The head coach from Toledo brought in 19 players, so they're going to be playing Toledo/UConn when they go up there. I think when you kind of look at it, it's possible the schedule may not be that difficult when we're in Thanksgiving looking back on it.
What about you, Noah?
I think everyone pretty much hit on everything. Riken did make a good point about the home games. I think that is significant. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these games that we're looking at just by looking at the schedule are like, okay, they could win maybe the 50-50 games. And some of those, the teams that they're playing could end up being much better or much worse than we expect. Like a team like Syracuse, right? In Fran Brown's first season, they were 10-3. Last year, they were 3-9 after the Angeli injury. So it's really both ends of the spectrum. Where do they slide in? Does Angeli stay healthy, and are they a great team? I don't anticipate Fran Brown going 3-9 with a healthy roster in another season. So, I mean, you just don't really know. And I think that's part of the intrigue is that there are some questions with teams like Syracuse and teams like even UConn. We don't really know. Louisville has gotten a lot of talk about potentially being a legit playoff contender at times because we don't know. I mean, their quarterback situation is really intriguing. They're the AP number 24 team in the country. They made the preseason top 25. Again, a team like Virginia, we don't really know. A team like NC State could be good. I think early in their season, they're going to have a test with Virginia. That's going to be a fascinating one to keep an eye on. But yeah, I mean, I think there just are a lot of questions with some of these teams. The problem is the top end talent that Carolina is playing. It's not that you don't play the game and just expect, I mean, you can expect the loss, but it's not like you're not going to go play the game. And stranger things have happened. We've seen Notre Dame lose to Northern Illinois. We've seen Clemson lose to some teams. Obviously, they shouldn't have. Same with Miami. So at the end of the day, you don't really know. But on paper, a lot of these top end teams that they're playing, you wouldn't necessarily pick Carolina to ever win that game.
Yeah, for me personally, I'm not going to spend too much time because we've just dissected it enough here, but I think the schedule kind of is as difficult as a lot of people are making it. I think the good news is for North Carolina is there's some winnable games, and I think the easiest stretch of the season comes kind of right smack dab in the middle of most of the year. So maybe that turns out being a positive. When you consider how young this team is, you look at the opening 4 games, TCU and Dublin, East Tennessee State, which should be a win at Clemson and Notre Dame for a very young football team that's going to have question marks even at quarterback, the most important position on the field. You would probably like to start with some other opponents besides 3 of those 4 there. So, yeah, I do think the schedule is going to be difficult. But as it always happens in college football, there will be some teams on this schedule that are better than we think they're going to be. And there's going to be some teams on this schedule that is not as good as we think they're going to be. So we'll just have to see where the cards fall. But I tend to lean in this schedule being a pretty difficult one. But I'm looking forward to it. It's a heck of a home schedule too. I don't think that's being talked about enough. It's one of the best home schedules Carolina's had in a few years. I mean, AJ, I don't know if I know you've looked at it. I mean, Notre Dame, you got Miami at home, Louisville at home, NC State. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good games here in Chapel Hill.
Yeah, you have 2 CFP teams, and Noah just mentioned Louisville. I kind of get this. I kind of think that at some point Jeff Brom is going to get over the hump there. They kind of banged on the door some of the last few years. They spent a lot of money. They want to win there. I think that's a sneaky, potentially really good team that comes in when people aren't talking about them much. They're talking about Miami and Notre Dame coming in. They're talking about having to go to Clemson and, of course, State coming in late in the year. But Louisville is a club to keep an eye on, too. I have a feeling that Louisville is going to be maybe a little bit better than that 24 ranking.
Yeah,
that's fair. I think that's very fair.
So the home schedule is tough. The home schedule is really tough.
Yeah, but some
Louisville led by Tyler Thompson defensively. Just thought I would put that out there.
What if that in there?
Seth Trimble in the stands with a red pom pom.
Yeah. Carolina's had a few transfers.
Jarvis, what'd you say?
I said Tayon Holloway.
Yeah, that's right.
Is he still there? Is he still there?
Yeah, he's the top returner corner in the.
Yeah, I'm about to say I knew he's been there for a few years. Yeah, he was been good at Louisville. Had a good year last year.
He started last year.
Yeah, he was good. He was good for them last year. Yeah, I just for some reason I thought he was going, but no. Yeah, I'm not a Louisville expert, so learn something new every day. All right, guys. Should we get started on the schedule? We've already been about 30 minutes into it. Let's right through the schedule, man. Here's the order we're gonna do. We're gonna go Noah. You're gonna go first on all these games. We'll go Riken, Jarvis, and AJ, and then I'll facilitate these, but also put my kind of prediction at the end as well. Get your predictions in the comments as we go through. Want to hear from you guys, as I've mentioned already. But guys, it starts not that long away from here. 12 days from now in Dublin against TCU, August 29th. Carolina coming off a 48-14 loss last season at home to TCU, a game we're not going to spend any more talking about. We probably will. It'll be mentioned, I'm sure, in this podcast because it feels like freaking eternity ago. But Noah, what do you think about this game? And Is Carolina going to find a way to pull one out, or is it a bridge too far for them in Dublin?
There's a lot of pressure here going first because hopefully nobody goes back to this after. But so I will preface by saying this really quickly. I think this game can dictate a lot of Carolina's success over the course of the season. I think it's that important. I think if you can start by getting a win after watching what happened last year, if Carolina can start by getting a win, no matter what it looks like, if it's 9-6 Carolina win, if it's 42-41 Carolina win, I think either way, if they can get a win in the win column in this game, I think it gives them a ton of confidence going forward, especially considering you get East Tennessee State after. It's almost a guaranteed start 2-0 if you can win that first game. I'll preface by saying that's how important I think this is. I did check the betting odds, the spread. I was curious how odds makers saw this game. If they saw it really close, if they saw it as more of a big blowout. They have TCU favored by 7.5 points. So just to preface by saying that too, I don't see this game going anywhere like it did last year. I think this game is going to be close throughout the entire thing. I think it's going to be down to the wire into the fourth quarter. The game's going to be in the balance. Obviously, with TCU, they lose Josh Hoover, which was a big part of what they do. Quarterback transfers to Indiana. For all we know, with Cignetti, he's probably going to be in the Heisman conversation again following Mendoza. I think he has a great year at Indiana, but they replace him with Jaden Craig, who doesn't have a ton of that experience facing these Power 4 teams. Came from Harvard, was really, really successful there, but we don't know. It's a big question mark. Sonny Dykes leading TCU yet again. We don't know what's going to look like. However, at receiver, Jordan Dwyer gave them fits all last year in that first game. 9 catches for 136 yards and a touchdown. They added a receiver from South Alabama who had a really productive season. He's only a sophomore going into this year. He's only been in college football for 1 year. I think I can see Carolina winning this one, but until I see Carolina put something on the field that doesn't remind me of last year, I can't pick them yet, and I'm picking TCU to win. But I think it's going to be down to the wire. I'm talking like last possession, Carolina has the ball or TCU has the ball, trying to win it, trying to stop them, and I think TCU ends up getting the win in a really, really close game.
Okay. Belichick palpitations, huh, Noah?
Yeah.
I guess so.
Man, I thought Noah was going to pick Carolina. You had me there for a second. No, I'm not going to lie. You had me there for a second.
I can't do it yet.
Nah, hey, man. We're not far off each other in our opinions on that game. All right, Riken, what's your prediction for this one?
It's funny. Noah almost stole the words out of my mouth. Like, I feel the exact same way about that game, mainly because the first thing I'm thinking of is TCU new quarterback. Obviously, UNC is going to have a new quarterback, whoever it is. But Jaden Craig from Harvard, you're coming up to a new level of football. You're starting your career with a Power 4 team in Ireland. And it's just a different environment. It's different than anything he's ever going to have played in. And I think if there's one part of Carolina's roster that I would feel most confident is going to play well, it's that defensive line. That pass rush, I think, is going to get in there and really cause some fits for him early. But then on the other side, I think TCU has pretty solid retention and just a talented defensive core that's also going to give Carolina some fits. I think it's going to be a really low-scoring game, especially in the first half. I think maybe by the second half, some adjustments. Petrino maybe fires something up, does something a little bit different that gets Carolina going alongside TCU. But I really do just feel like TCU is going to have the edge in the talent that they have returning. They got Jeremy Payne returning at running back, who had some experience last year, helping to replace some production there. And I think Craig's going to find his rhythm by the end of the game, because talent's always going to find a way to surface. It's just, I think it's going to take some time for both sides to see what they're really made of and adjust. But I think it is going to come down to the wire. I expect a one possession game in Ireland.
Okay. I like it. What are we thinking, Jarvis?
I think I'm gonna go in a different direction than both of them.
Okay.
I think they're gonna a lot of last year as motivation, because they got it home last year. Obviously, that was on national TV. You got Kirk Herbstreit's dog playing with the thing, and just they're gonna use a lot. And like, as a former player, I just know how teams look at stuff like that in the next year, and I know Belichick's gonna have them like gassed up going in there, and they're gonna be ready and prepared. And I also feel like with Petrino coming in, that the offense is going to be way better than it was last year. Well, at least 5 or 10 points better. It should be better than last year. And as long as the defense can play half as good as they did, well, not even half, probably like almost as good as they did last year towards the end, then I think they have a good chance. And plus, there's no Josh Hoover. They do have Dryer, but I think without Josh Hoover, it is not the same team as last year. I think they have a solid chance to win, and I feel like I can see Carolina winning this one. I want to say probably towards towards the end of the game, probably like 28, 21, somewhere in that area. I feel like it's going to be a higher score in the game than what people think, and I'm going to take Carolina winning that one.
Okay, Jarvis throwing a win in there. I love it. I love it. I'm sure a lot of Carolina fans in the comments right now are absolutely loving that prediction. AJ, what are we thinking in this one, man? Are you gonna stay on that win bandwagon, or are you going the opposite direction?
I like what Jarvis just said. His experience as a player, I think, is something we should tap into. That even though a lot of the guys, 60 new players on this team, were not part of last year's team, their association is with what happened last year. So they're all kind of under that umbrella. So Bill can go in there, and even if you weren't a part of the program last year when that embarrassment happened, you adopted that embarrassment when you decided to go to North Carolina. So that's an easy thing to get them ginned up for. And I think he'll do that. I don't know how he gets guys fired up. He has a different way of communicating even with them. But I would imagine, as successful as he's been, he has a unique ability to certainly needle some things into guys that they will be ready for that. I do think Carolina's a much better team going into week one than it was a year ago, especially offensively. I think that they know who they are, know what they can be. I think it was sort of trial by error last year. I mean, they started Eden Buchanan at offensive tackle as a true freshman. He showed up in June. He played 16 snaps and disappeared, or 20 snaps and disappeared. They really didn't know what they were doing compared to where it is now. So I think that's a huge, huge thing. Then you throw in the Petrino factor. Noah did a phenomenal story a while ago about Bobby Petrino, the difference in every offense he's inherited when he's gone to a new place that season compared to the year before. I know that you and Jacob also did a podcast about it. I think that's significant. I think this team has upside in the different skill rooms offensively. They're better at running back. They're significantly better at tight end, even with some of the injuries that they've had there. And I think they're better at wide receiver as well. I think the offensive line is less experienced, but more athletic. I think they could do more stuff with the offensive line and with the quarterback now. So they're going to be better offensively. My concern in this game is that TCU is really good at receiver. It's not just one or two guys. They've always been really good at receiver. This kid set records at Harvard passing the ball. If you have a scheme, and I watched Sonny Dykes the other day, and he's talking about the phases of Craig learning the scheme. Carolina, I question their ability to cover the stuff over the middle with the linebackers. I question the other corner aside from Jaden Patterson. If they could pick apart that stuff, they don't need to go deep with 60-yard plays. They can pick their way down the field. And I don't know if Carolina has answers for that until we actually see them on the field. However, as much as in my mind, I've had TCU winning this game for a while, I have a sneaky suspicion that Carolina, just a gut feeling after watching the offense and just seeing Petrino. I've seen a lot, guys. I've been around this stuff for a long time. And seeing Petrino, just the way he communicates and watches the offense when we've been at practice, it's a different level. And I think Petrino, Jarvis, you're right. I think Petrino, and then with what he has, is worth 5 to 10 points. I think that might be the difference. And right now, I'm going to go with the Tar Heels an edge. And if Reese Verhoff can play, he could be the difference in that game.
I like that.
We could be talking a field goal
right there. Yeah, no, that's a good one. I hadn't even thought about that. That's a good one. Jarvis, real quick. I just want to ask Jarvis a question real quick. And AJ, you talked about Belichick getting the guys ready to go, getting them G'd up for this game. Jarvis, you obviously played under Mac Brown. How did Mac get the guys G'd up for big game? What was his kind of go-to secret sauce? I'm curious.
Did
he even have one?
He had each game. I think one in particular, even though we lost. AJ probably knows about this one, like the cheese game.
UVA.
He went to
I'll never forget that game, AJ. I'll never forget the week before the game either.
Don't eat the cheese. Don't eat the cheese. I can hear Max saying, "You're playing for your mother. You're playing for your father. You're playing for your grandparents. You're playing for your hometown." God.
Yeah,
like a 1948 speech through Mac's accent and tone. That would be absolutely gold.
Yeah, it would be.
I can see Belichick having some different ways though too. Like as nonchalant and as like nonchalant as he sounds like in interviews and like just in general, like he gets you fired up and he curses in every sentence and he gets people going and films. Yeah. I can just see him having some, like, it's Belichick too. Like I'm sure in the past in New England he has something that he did to get the team going. Plus it's not just him, it's the coaches that he hired, and I'm sure they got something.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what Carolina can
do. Matter of fact and direct.
Yeah, very matter of fact and direct, I can imagine. Very. I don't really see any inspiring speeches or cheese hanging in the locker. I can't. I can't see that with Belichick, but you never know. Maybe we'll get that story this year. Who knows? Maybe he'll put some cheese in the locker room before the TCU game to get the guys fired up. I'm going Carolina loss in this one. I'm going to keep it short and simple. This will be a theme for 3 of these first 4 games for me. Young team, question marks at quarterback, new offensive coordinator. I don't think that's just going to hit the ground running for minute 1, especially when you look at a lot of the new faces on the offensive side of the ball, especially on the offensive line. And then on the defensive side, you still got these question marks with Steve Belichick. I know Carolina's got coaches behind him, including one of the greatest coaches, if not the greatest coach of all time, in Bill Belichick. They can handle some of those play calling things, but you've got a defense that has a lot of attrition, a lot of new look guys. Don't really have a defensive coordinator right now. I think this is a team, as we'll see throughout my predictions as we get later into it, that will play some of its better football towards the middle and end of the season. But I'm not predicting a win in this one. I don't think it'll be a blowout, as a lot of you have alluded to. I don't see that happening. But I do think Carolina loses this game by, 2 scores, maybe 10 points, something like that. But I do think this is a loss for North Carolina. Not 48-14, though. Nowhere close to that one. Let's keep it moving. East Tennessee State. Let's try not to spend 35 minutes on this game, guys, because no disrespect to East Tennessee State. I mean, you've got Will Healy in there, former Charlotte head coach. You got Jaden Davis at quarterback, who was the backup to Bryce Underwood at Michigan last season. Like, this is an intriguing East Tennessee State team in some respects. But come on, guys. Like, Noah, we'll start with you, man. This is a win for North Carolina, right? Can we all agree on that one at least?
Not intriguing enough. Yeah, I don't think Carolina has any issue here. I will say the one thing I'm excited for is I think some of these younger guys that might not play against TCU might start to see the field later in this game against East Tennessee State. So for those that might want to turn it off at halftime, depending on the score, I think the reason to stay is to watch some of these younger guys who could be pivotal parts of the program in a year or two. They might start to see the field in the second half, and we might be able to take away a lot from some of these younger guys, seeing them on the field in game action for the first time. But yeah, Carolina win for me.
Love it. All right, Riken, what we got?
I'm not going to overthink this one. I got Carolina win, and I think it's an important win mainly because in comparison to last year, you're looking at winning your home opener, and that just the way the place deflated when TCU came in and did what they did last year. I think it'd be good to have the pomp and circumstance before the game. You're going to have the chapel thrill stuff going on, and then you're going to come in and you're going to take care of an opponent that you should take care of. I think that's going to be really good for the morale, fan-wise and team-wise. I think it's going to be good for him. And, yeah, Carolina takes that one easily.
I love it. Jarvis, I know you were turn your overhead light on, but East Tennessee State game, are you staying on the win bandwagon here? Is that what you think is going to happen in this one?
Yeah, I don't think it's really a game. I feel like it should be a good game to get all the young guys in. The problem is they can't go into that game with the mindset that everybody's going to get in. They have to go in there and take care of business, that it doesn't turn into one of those games. Like, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be like JMU, obviously, from a couple of years ago. They have to go in there with the mind. It's still a game, and honestly, they should take care of it pretty easily. It's ETSU, and it's North Carolina, so yeah.
Yeah, easy win. I think AJ, I think you're on the same boat in that one too.
A few FCSs win every year at Power Fours. It happens, especially the low-end Power Fours don't know who they are. I think Jarvis just nailed it. If they go in there thinking that Travis Burgess is going to get 25 reps at quarterback and that all these freshmen that they brought in, Xavier Griffin-Haynes is going to get 15 reps at defensive end or something like that. If they go in there thinking that, then they're going to be in for a tussle. There's no doubt about it. By the way, Melinda, we're going to answer some questions a little bit later for sure. Just wanted to make sure I responded to her question. I think they'll handle this game. I think it's good that there's a week in between. There are teams that have gone over there and played and come back and played an FCS the following week, and they struggle. They never really get into rhythm. They have a bad week of preparation. So this will be really good because they're going to have a chance to work on a lot of stuff after TCU, regardless of the outcome. And knowing Belichick, he's going to use ETSU as an opportunity to see the corrections that they think that they have made. So they'll probably approach it with the right mindset, and I think they'll take care of business and get a win, maybe even have 2 wins before they go to Death Valley.
Yeah, I'm going win here too. Short and simple. I think this will be a a pretty convincing win for North Carolina, pretty similar to what we saw against Richmond last year. Although I do think the offense will be a little bit more prolific than it was against the Spiders last year. All right, at Clemson, getting fun now, and this is a Clemson team that should be better, maybe, kind of, sort of. But on the flip side, UNC's last win in Death Valley came in 2001, so not a great place.
I covered that game.
Yeah, I figured you probably did. Long time ago, man. Long time ago, since Carolina's got a win in Death Valley. All right, Noah. I know you're going to predict a Carolina win here. I can smell it. Let's see what you got, man.
How do you know? No. So I do think this one's fascinating because I think if Carolina wins that first game, like I mentioned before, I gave my T2 prediction. If they can beat TCU, win against East Tennessee State, go into this game 2-0, I think there's a pretty real chance that Clemson's into this game 1-1. They start at LSU, which is obviously a really tough game. Will be a ton of eyeballs on that. College game day will be out there. Then they play Georgia Southern, so that's seemingly a win for Clemson. So Clemson might be 1-1 going into this game. Potentially Carolina's 2-0. I picked them to be 1-1, so a battle of two 1-1 teams. If that's the case, in which I predicted, I think Clemson wins the game. But I think if Carolina's 2-0, there's a lot of excitement. Then it opens up the chance for a potential upset. And this isn't. I don't see this Clemson team rebounding and being like a top 10 team. I think that this is going to be a chance for Carolina to go in. And if they could make a move and win this game, then a lot of people start talking if Carolina can possibly start 3-0. I'm predicting, though, Clemson to win. I just think the talent differential is a big difference. And I do just think Clemson all around is more talented than Carolina. And at the end of the day, like Riken said earlier, I think that eventually shines through. I don't necessarily see this being like some crazy blowout, maybe even like we saw last year with Clemson. I think it's a lot closer maybe than people think. I wouldn't say like one possession, but I don't think it's going to be some 3, 4, 5 touchdown game. I'm not sure how Clemson's season plays out after this. I don't know what their final record's going to be, but I think they beat Carolina here. I think the talent is the number one thing that sort of swayed me to pick Clemson.
And by the way, guys, if you're just tuning in, I said it earlier, get your predictions in. I'll pop them up on screen as we're going through these games. Riken, how you feeling in this one, man? You picking a Carolina W here?
At one point, they've got to kind of tilt the balance back towards, in Carolina's favor. It's 7-game losing streak. Like you said, last win in Death Valley was 2001. Last win against Clemson Generals 2010. And I just feel like it's one of those things where the better Clemson is, the better Carolina ends up playing against them. Think back to Sam Howell and that team almost taking off or almost beating them and just missing a 2-point conversion. However, when Clemson's more towards the middle, think about last year, they just go ahead and every time Carolina thinks we're going to this game, maybe we got a chance at this, it just kind of it goes off the rails. I think Dabo Swinney has something that he just knows something about this Tar Heels team that other teams don't. It's just Carolina flat out just doesn't really play well against Clemson. They just don't. I just don't think the scheme. I think the scheme differences. There's something there that just completely throws them off. And I think Clemson, their return continuity from last year, you have to think they have to bounce back in terms of Sweeney's just job security. You have to imagine it's starting that. If they have another year like last year, there's a lot of questions that have to come up. So I think they're going to take care of a game they should take care of at home. And I think Carolina's going to lose this one and start the season 1-2.
All right, Jarvis. No pressure, but nobody's picked a win yet. No pressure.
I don't see Carolina winning this one, sadly, but I can see, honestly, my score prediction, I'm going to give it early. I feel like it'll be something like 34-10.
Okay.
Clemson in like Death Valley is just different. It's really loud. I think it's a lot of players who haven't played before, and plus Clemson, they have T.J. Moore and Bryant, and they still have a whole bunch of weapons coming back. They don't have Cade Klubnik, but they're sure they're back. He's pretty experienced still, but I feel like I don't think they win this one on the road in Death Valley. I don't see it.
I think that's fair. All right, AJ, what you got?
I coined that term about 1.5 years ago, New Carolina. So now I'm going to coin another one, New Dabo. He brought in 10 transfers. So he's realized that he's got to join the parade or get completely left behind. There's two ways to look at this game. It's a noon start in mid-September in South Carolina. I am not convinced Carolina has great depth, and there's some areas where Carolina's depth are young guys, are true freshmen. Does this game get to a point where whoever's got the most depth has a significant advantage, if it even gets to the point where it matters in the third and fourth quarter? And I say that because I could see Clemson coming out strong in this one. I could see Carolina getting overwhelmed out of the gate, similar to last year's game, but in a totally different setting, a totally different environment. I think Clemson just picked apart a Carolina team that was down and not ready last year. This Clemson team I could see being fired up, especially no matter what happens at LSU. They're either trying to piggyback and prove something and trying to get the wheels churning into a special season, or they're trying to fix a lot of stuff, and that game will be the barometer for Dabo, so they'll be ready to go. As for Carolina, I think they'll be ready to play. I think the kids will be excited. They're going to see them run down the hill. They're going to be all the pop and everything else. They'll be ready to go. But sometimes you get blindsided there quickly. And if that's the case, then this thing could get ugly. So is all the scenarios I look at, guys, if Carolina hangs around for a while, I see depth being an issue. If Carolina doesn't match Clemson out of the gate, I could see them getting hit hard right out of the gate, and this thing being kind of lopsided early. So really, no matter how I look at it, I think Carolina loses, and I think Carolina either loses big early or Clemson pulls away late.
Yeah, I'm going Clemson win here too. As I mentioned earlier, it's a young Carolina team. It's a young Carolina team. It's an inexperienced Carolina team in a lot of different areas, including at the quarterback position, especially right now with Miles O'Neal kind of trending in that direction, looking like he would start still. We'll see how that plays out. But I have this is not hard-hitting analysis right here. So I want you guys to, if you come in here for hard-hit analysis from me on this show, you're not going to get it. I'm just letting you know right now. I'm going to say the exact same thing about the NC State game in a little bit until I see Carolina go to Death Valley and beat a team, just like until I see North Carolina beat NC State again in football. I'm not going to sit here and predict a win here for the Tar Heels. So I'm going to loss here. And two, as I mentioned earlier, with the young team, a lot of question marks. This is Carolina's first true road game of the year. I know that Dublin, it's a neutral site game. First true road game for a young team that's going to have a lot of question marks, I think, going into it. I can pick a lot of other places in the country you would rather play your first true road game at than Death Valley, no matter what Clemson team you're coming up against. So, yeah, no, I'm going North Carolina loss here. I think it was Jarvis. Was he who said 38-10? Did somebody say like 34-10 or something like that? Was that
34?
I don't hate that scoreline. I think maybe it's 34-17. Carolina getting a little late touchdown. I know we're not really doing scores here, but to answer the question, I'm going to Clemson win here.
So we don't need you to do your NC State pick. You just did it, right?
No, it's there. Yeah, you guys know exactly what I'm doing for NC State. And to be fair, I've been saying the same thing about NC State game for about 3 years now. So I'm just going to keep repeating myself.
Definitely consistent with
in that viewpoint. Yeah, I'm very consistent on that lazy take. All right, let's keep it moving. Notre Dame game, October 3rd. This is the big one. This is a juicy one at home. This is the best home game, on paper at least, in Carolina's schedule. And they've got some other really good home games in here as well. Fighting Irish coming to Kenan Stadium once again. Number 4 in the preseason poll, legit national title contender. Let's ignore the fact that North Carolina's 2-21 against the Irish, and their last win came in 2008 with that Cam Sexton huddle. Or not huddle, I guess you call it a huddle, jumped over the Notre Dame defender to score that touchdown. We're not going to talk about that. What are we thinking in this one, Noah? We're going to start with you once again.
Covered that one too.
Yeah, I figured you did.
I don't see this one being particularly pretty for North Carolina. I think this is probably what everyone's going to end up saying, I would assume. But honestly, like Notre Dame is one of my favorite teams in the entire country, not just teams that Carolina's playing. They're one of my favorite teams in the country. I think they have a really, really good chance to win the national title. CJ Carr's back. I've been really impressed with him. They added a pair of Buckeye receivers from Ohio State as well. I like them a lot. Defense is going to be good yet again. I think I could see them winning a national championship. And for this one, I think they roll to a win. I don't think it's necessarily close. I think they're that good. The differential in talent is that big. And I think that they are just their schedule. If you look at Notre Dame's entire schedule, I think they have a chance to go undefeated. I don't think they have many extremely tough games. I mean, obviously they play Miami, will be interesting, but outside of that, I think that Notre Dame is going to win pretty much every game, and this is one included. I don't think it's necessarily super close, and I think it's probably one that odds makers think is a 3 to 4 touchdown game at least.
All right, Riken, what we got?
I want to preface this by saying I do think UNC is going to be so much better all across the board than they were last year. I think they're going to play better in every single game. They're not going to play that much better. because Notre Dame is still going to be Notre Dame. And they are probably one of my 2 or 3 favorites to win the national championship this year. Freeman's done a great job over there. I think Carr had a great season last year. He's only going to get better. And you got Williams to replace the great running back duo between Price and Love. And he was a great running back in his own right in a system that was so run heavy. So I really think they're going to be the top dog. It's going to be hard to beat them. You're playing at home, which is cool. You got that going for you, but I think Notre Dame is just going to come in and they're going to make quick work of it. And Carolina's there's not much they're going to be able to do, whether they are mentally there or not. There's just a very big difference in the top players for Notre Dame, top players for Carolina. So I got Carolina starting 1-3.
Cool. Jarvis, what we got, man?
Honestly, I'm a piggyback right out them. There's not even much to say. Is Notre Dame. They have a very huge offensive line. Their defense is elite. I mean, I think the spread is 25. It's not even.
Sounds. It's already 25.
Wow. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's 25, and they're minus 1,800 to win the game. I don't think this one's close.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are in the same boat on this one. I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb and say AJ's not going to pick a win here, but I guess crazier things have happened. What you got, AJ?
The most important statistic in this game are how many people are in their seats at the start of the fourth quarter. And I say that without really wanting to be funny, but I think it's true because, man, that's going to be another really bad look on national TV if that's the case. And that's something that people will fixate on. And if you're trying to build something, even if you're trying to build toward 2027, which is the whispers behind the scenes here in Chapel Hill, it's hard to do that when people aren't sticking around to watch your games. So I think the most important thing is that they could hang around and do some decent things and give people a reason to stick around. I think will be really, really big. By the way, there's one Tar Heel who has scored a touchdown against Notre Dame. And his name is Shaq McCroy, right now the starting right offensive tackle. He scored one for Arkansas last year against Notre Dame. Made the score 14-10.
I knew you were going to say that.
I know. You knew. I know. I was thinking you were. I was thinking, well, if Noah doesn't say it, I will. And by the way, Arkansas ended up getting run out of that thing. But Notre Dame is elite in every way. If you're truly building, and it's hard to think of a 74-year-old coach building, but that's what the whispers are. At least this is a barometer game. Take a look across and say, okay, we are this far away in these different areas. That's our mission. So they'll get that education that day.
Jarvis, you ever scored a touchdown as an offensive lineman? I think you're muted. I think you're muted right now. Even though it says you're not muted, I don't know what's going on with that. We'll get back to you in a second.
Hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Have you ever scored a touchdown as an O-lineman?
No, I wish.
Okay.
The one time I almost scored, I fumbled, and nobody touched me, but I was a little kid, so I was like 5 or 6. So, but no,
it does count. You better not draw a line. I'd be like, yeah, I scored.
Yeah, I recovered a few fumbles back in high school, but that was it.
I love it. You ever score a touchdown as an O-lineman, AJ?
No, I recovered a few fumbles. Offensive line.
I mean, that's like a touchdown for the offense.
Count it.
Yeah, someone's got to get on the rock, man. Coaches love that.
Our quarterback got blindsided one time, and the ball went in the air. I'll never forget it. And I just happened to be there.
It was like
a helmet
slow-mo.
sticker for it.
Like
I got a helmet sticker. Yeah, sort of like that. I got a helmet sticker for it, man. Anything for a helmet sticker, right, Jarvis? Anything for a helmet sticker.
What'd you do with it when you picked the ball up?
Well, I fell on it. We were taught to fall on it. They didn't want us picking the damn thing. I played basketball, but I had a big number on my jersey, so we weren't allowed to run it. I would have gotten electrocuted. If I would have picked up the ball and tried to run, I would have been electrocuted by my coach.
I was going to say that was a humble way of you saying if I wanted to pick that ball up and score a touchdown, easily could have done it, but my coaches were they sucked. So
I would have had the stiff arm out, and I'd have been high stepping.
Oh, it's fantastic. I'm saying with everybody in here, Carolina, I don't see a win here. I think it's going to be a pretty big margin here. I've seen Notre Dame come into Chapel Hill before. AJ, I know you've been to a lot of Notre Dame Carolina games over the years. And one of my favorite things to look for before these games is to go get as close to the field as I can and just look at how much bigger everybody, especially across both lines of scrimmages, on Notre Dame's team compared to North Carolina's. That is always one of the biggest things that stands out. It's unbelievable. And one of the first times I ever saw it and really noticed it in person was back in 2016. I went to the North Carolina, played Georgia in the opening game down at the old Georgia Dome. And I went down to that game. I think it was Trubisky's first. That was a Trubisky season, his first game of that first season. And I'll never forget watching Georgia's O-lineman warm up and being like, oh my God, like this is like high school versus college. And we all know how that game ended up kind of playing out. So I can't see Carolina winning this one, but I am very intrigued to see like, okay, like where is Carolina at? Like, can I go look at Carolina's roster and lines of scrimmage, and do they not look that much different than Notre Dame's, or is it like looking at two different teams? I am selfishly looking forward to seeing what that looks like, but I don't see a win here. 1-3.
I have to. Carolina. Go ahead, Jarvis.
I was gonna say, we played them my first year in 2022, and like their O-line they had Joe Alt at the time, and they were just huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Pristine. I'm veering off course, but the Georgia game, the thing my favorite story about the Georgia game was the safety that Carolina got. They're backed up at their own one. They threw a screen pass in the end zone. Safety. They had safeties in the first 3 games that year. Remember that?
I remember that. I remember.
How about the jet sweep inside their own one against Pitt?
Yep. God, I forgot about that. You unlocked a memory there. As soon as you said that, I can remember the play in my head. We had great seats for that game. So, but that was one of the loudest stadiums I've ever been in. Sidebar, by the way, that place was absolutely rocking.
I covered the Peach, that 2001 team that won at Clemson, which was once they got going, they were really good. I covered them beating Auburn in the Peach Bowl there. That was the loudest I've ever heard a football stadium. Was that Peach Bowl game? That
might be the loudest is that Georgia Dome game.
But
Ronald
Curry, if you could find the Ronald Curry run for a touchdown on YouTube, that place was so loud.
God, I can only imagine. So I got 1-3 start. Let's recap through the first 4. That was the first 4 games of the season. I'm at 1-3. I know Riken's at 1-3. No, are you at 1-3 as well?
I am.
Okay. And Jarvis, you're 1-3.
No, I had TCU winning the first.
Okay, so you're 2-2. Excuse me.
Jarvis and I have 2-2.
Okay,
yeah, we do got to speed up. He's right here.
3 1-3s. Beautiful. I looked into figuring out how to like show these on the screen without having like an Excel sheet up. So I apologize for not having something more professional for the keep track of these scores. But we're going to separate these. We'll go through each game, but we'll separate it first 4, middle 4, final 4, and we'll kind of recap after that, so you guys can play follow along a little bit. What we got here? Oh yeah, God, recapping 75. Ooh, major throwback right there. Absolutely, I love that. God, I love that. I love hearing from people who've been to games way back when. It's fantastic, man. That's awesome.
I thought that was Montana, not Theismann, but we'll see.
You might be right. We'll get him back in the comments. He can confirm that. All right, moving on. Middle part of the schedule. I'm calling these the middle 4. Got at Pitt, at Duke, Syracuse, and Miami. Starting with at Pittsburgh. I think, again, I said it earlier. I think this is when things start to get interesting. I think this is when your opinions can get swayed a little bit. You can look at these games and say, man, I don't know. I could see a Carolina win here. I don't think you can look at those first 4, barring the East Tennessee State game, and say the same unless you're really going out on a limb. But at Pittsburgh, Heroes are 4-2 in their last 6 visits to Pitt. They like playing in Pittsburgh for some reason. Have atrocious Carolina teams go up there and find ways to win. You also got Mason Heischel back at quarterback. I think this is a Pitt team that's expected to be pretty decent to pretty good. But who the heck knows when Narduzzi's your head coach? So, Noah, what we got, man?
Very quickly,
what are we thinking
before
here?
you send it to Noah, I'm sorry. I got to butt in here because I can.
You get this
I'm
comment
in charge.
about 7 times a live stream.
Melinda has a good point. I don't know what Melinda means that we turn it off or if the viewers can, but what's the answer to that question? Is
so
it us to do it or the viewers?
We run the least amount of ads that we can possibly run on during live streams. The main reason we do that is just for monetization purposes. Obviously, YouTube's a big revenue driver for the site. We get this comment a lot. So as much as I would love to turn it off, it would really cut into the revenue we do on some of these live streams. So I promise you I have the least conservative amount of ads we could possibly run, but it just changed dramatically. So I just want to be very transparent about that because we do get a lot of comments about that. Maybe some in the future we'll just completely turn them off. But again, this is a massive revenue driver for us. That's why I don't do the medium amount or the maximum amount of ads during these live streams. I do the least amount you can do. But yeah, I just wanted to just keep that in there. I have YouTube Premium, so I don't ever watch ads. So little life hack right there.
I have YouTube Premium too. I haven't seen an ad in years.
Premium guy. I'm a big.
I haven't seen an ad in years.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
Right, I
just
want to make sure because
good deal.
I want to make sure that we hit on that because it's a fair question, and I figured we should address it. Now we can go to Noah and his pick of the Pitt game.
I appreciate you bringing that up. I just wanted we get that comment a lot. All right, Pittsburgh. Noah, start us off. What we got?
I do think Pitt's underrated. I don't think a lot of people talk about them. Maybe with the talent that they have. I think they got 7 votes to be in the AP top 25 preseason. I mean, this isn't a team that's just going to be well under 500 and just cruise off. I think they're solid. I do like Mason Heinstall. You mentioned him, freshman quarterback last year, played a bunch. He came on really towards the end of the year. He showed promise, but he needed to be more consistent. That's the number one thing for him, and that's something that we'll see. I do agree with the comment. I think it's a total toss-up game, and I think this is really the first game in my prediction, a 1-3 start. I think this is the first game where if you want to make a bowl game, you got to win this game. This is the first 50-50 game where you have to win to boost your chances dramatically to then go to a bowl game. Pitt lost some really good players. One to Notre Dame, defensive tackle, and then also they lost the linebacker Rasheem Biles of Texas. They lost some really good players to going to really, really good programs, but they also did add a lot from the portal. I thought they did a pretty solid job in terms of replacing some of those guys or at least replenishing their roster. Again, this feels like the first true 50-50 game. I'm going to take Pitt because it's a home game for Pitt. There has been obviously a lot of Carolina success in Pitt recently. I like Mason Heinstall. I think at this point in the season, he should have his feet settled. He should be much more comfortable than maybe one of the first games of the season. But I like Pitt to win this game. And look, Pittsburgh, they finished 4th in the ACC last year. This isn't a team that even last year was pretty low down there in terms of the standings. So I think Pitt wins the game, but I think it's really close. And the home field advantage, I think at the end of the day is the difference. But again, this is a huge game for Carolina if they want to make a bowl game.
Riken, what we got?
I promise Noah and I did not talk before this and share like what we're going to say. I really feel like we're following the same train of thought.
Hey, great
here.
minds think alike, man. Great minds think alike.
It's exactly what I was saying. At
Jarvis and I are simply outclassed tonight.
And me as well. Don't forget about me. I am definitely outclassed.
But it's kind of what I was saying at the beginning, where you're talking about a game that they just happen to be playing on the road. If you're playing at home, I like Carolina in this one. I do. But I do think Pitt, especially when you're considering, okay, Carolina's on a 2-game skid at this point. I don't like going to Pitt to snap that streak. I just don't think that's where that's going to happen. I don't think that's where they're going to find their footing. I think they're going to do that, without spoiling anything a little bit later. But I really think, you have to go to Pittsburgh on a losing streak. You're playing a team that a lot of people are kind of doubting and putting some, they don't really know what's going on with them, but I'll just lean towards the home field advantage like Noah is. And I do think that Pitt is just going to slightly outclass Carolina in that game, and Carolina is going to be going into their next one kind of fired up, sitting at 1-4 to start the season.
All right,
Real
Jarvis.
quick, too, let me say this. I meant to say this earlier, but Pitt last year, I think they won their first, 5 or 6 games, didn't they? They went 5 or 6-0 to start, and they were looking really good, and then they lost their last 5. So this potentially is a Pitt team that's really good at the beginning of the season. Maybe that carries into this year. Maybe it doesn't, but it's just something to note.
They had a tough time overcoming the way that Notre Dame game opened up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a good point on that, Noah. Good point in bringing that up. Jarvis, somebody's got to get a Carolina win in here. Are you going to be the one to do it?
No. But I don't think it's a guaranteed loss, but I do want to say that I think they have a chance defensively, even though it's at home, but so that everybody's at a disadvantage, obviously. But I think North Carolina has a chance defensively because Pitt last year, and to my knowledge, even this year, they're still they're struggling on the offensive line. And last year they gave up one of the nation's leading, they were nation leaders in tackles for loss and sacks. They gave up the most tackles for loss and sacks. And obviously North Carolina has Melcart coming back, and if the D line, what they did, even partly of what they did last year, they have a chance defensively. And if the offense can stack up good against them, then I think they have a chance. But we'll have to see how the quarterbacks played up to that point and who even the quarterback will be to that point. But I think that, and obviously them coming to the game 2-2 from my standpoint, but I still don't think they win this game simply because it's on the road, and I don't know if I just don't think they're going to win.
That's fair. That's fair. I think. I mean, you're joining the most of the opinions right here. AJ, what you got, man? Are you going to be the one to put your neck out a little bit?
3 of the first 4 games, I think, are going to be emotional going in for these guys for different reasons. It's a lot early on, and I also think this team is going to get railroaded in a game that surprises people at least once. I think they're going to have one really, really bad game that kind of catches people by surprise, and I think this is going to be that one. They're going to go up there Saturday afternoon, maybe at night, and you have to generate your own energy sometimes up at Pitt because they could have 35, 40,000 people in the stands, but it's still all those yellow seats stand out. So the atmosphere is never fantastic when Carolina goes up there. So they have to generate their own energy. I have a feeling that if you're going to circle a game where they really just don't show up and just look bad and get run out of the stadium, my projection now is that would be the game. So I think Pitt will win pretty big, and the Tar Heels will be reeling a little bit when they head to Durham the next week.
If I can butt in real quick.
Go ahead.
You're talking about a lot about like the stadium stuff. I know I saw yesterday Pitt is reducing their max capacity for home games. They're trying to make like a tighter environment. I think that's an interesting thing to see how that plays out. Obviously, they play in an NFL stadium, so I don't know. They're just trying to keep it more condensed in certain areas that are not. I don't know, but
it's still the same size. It's far from campus.
Oh, it is.
And that's the thing. That's one of the problems with some of the schools in the ACC, like Pitt's stadium. Campus is probably maybe 8 miles, but it takes a while to get there. It's just they used to have a really good home field advantage, but their basketball arena now is where the football stadium used to be. It's the same problem Miami has. Miami's campus on a game day is a 45-minute to an hour drive through traffic getting to the stadium. So Pitt doesn't have a great home field atmosphere. That's interesting they're doing that. Those yellow seats are blinding, man. They're blinding. And it's just I've been there for day games, been there for mostly night games. I mean, they have a good fan base. At least they used to have a good fan base, but it's just not a great atmosphere. No matter what it is, I just think that might be one of those games where Carolina gets. I think they're going to have a flare-up game where they play much better than expected. I think they're going to have the flip side, and I think this is the flip side.
Yeah. It's I can't see Carolina winning this one either. I'm predicting a loss here. I do think it's going to be a close one. I do think this is a winnable game, as I've alluded to earlier. I do think this is one that you could see Carolina winning. And I saw that comment. Stay tuned because I think there's going to be some people in here that have more than 3 wins. Stay tuned.
We don't have pom-poms. And we're going to be completely objective here. That's what you guys want. So we're not just going to say they're going to win because make everybody feel good.
Yeah,
it's just not the right stuff.
Agree. Yeah, we're gonna just tell it how it is and how we believe it's gonna happen. But yeah, I'm joining Riken and Noah here. 1-4 start for North Carolina. We've got Jarvis and AJ at 2-3. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, guys. So yeah, that's what we've got so far. But yeah, I can't see a win here for North Carolina. But this is one of those games I look at, as Riken's talked about a little bit. If this was at home, I think I feel a little bit different. But also, if this was a game that Carolina was to play well and maybe sneak out a win, it would not be one of the games on the schedule that I would be absolutely shocked with that result. So I do think Carolina loses it, but I don't know. I'm more towards 50-50 with that one than Clemson and Notre Dame and TCU. So let's move it on. Duke in here at Duke, October 17th, reigning ACC champions. Fantastic year for Duke. I don't know how they did it. It's weird. ACC is crazy. It doesn't make any sense. Carolina 3-3 in his last 6 visits to Wallace Wade. Used to be a pretty, nice place for Carolina to go. I feel like way back when I was young, Carolina used to beat Duke all the time. It's a lot different program now. Manny Diaz in year 2. Can he build this thing back up? Can he do his thing without Darian Mensah? I don't know. I'm very intrigued to see what this Duke team's going to be like, but I can feel it coming. I'm feeling some Carolina wins coming in here, guys. What you got, Noah? Let's go, man. Let's get the vibes up in here, man. Let's go. Pick a win.
Well, lucky for everybody watching, I do think Carolina wins this game. Win number 2 on the season for me. I think that Darian Mensah situation was really tough, and I think it's going to linger beyond just not having him there. I think his teammates, watching that whole thing transpire, Manny Diaz has a real big job here for him to keep these guys together despite some losses potentially early in the season. I think it's going to linger well beyond just him not being there. Cooper Barkate obviously left with him as well, leading receiver for Mensa, both go to Miami. There's a lot of questions on this Duke roster. The likely starter for Duke, Walker Eget, he's a transfer from San Jose State, has been rehabbing an injury, really doesn't have a ton of experience. He played well at San Jose State, but then got injured, and so we'll just have to wait and see. There's still a competition ongoing, but it feels like he's going to be the starter there. And I think after watching last year's game be as close as it was, the fake field goal, all that sort of weird stuff, Carolina was right there. I think Carolina gets its revenge at Duke without Mensah having this stuff linger around. I think Carolina goes out there, wins, brings the victory bell back to Chapel Hill.
Riken, what you got, man?
It is one thing to have that long losing streak to Duke. It's another to start a 3-game losing, or I'm sorry, to State. It's another to start a losing streak, 3 games against Duke. That would really leaves a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, especially when you look at what Duke is this year and how they've lost their main production in terms of Mensah. I really think this is the game Carolina goes in and they have a statement win, is what I'll say. They go in and they kind of put their foot down and say, okay, the state of North Carolina cannot run all over us, because last year that's what the tail end of the season was. It was losing to 3 straight Carolina teams. And I think the number one step in getting this program back, and getting the fans back on board and really enjoying it is to win those rivalry games. Duke's the first chance they're going to get. It's at Duke. I don't think Duke is ever really going to be that big of a hassle to play at, just because of the size of the stadium, the fan interaction and all that. They've had some good seasons recently, obviously reigning ACC champions for as crazy as that was. But I just really think UNC goes in there and they put their foot down and they say, we have pride in that, in the color blue that we're wearing, and they're going to have a statement win and come out of that one 2-4.
And we call Alfred. We pick a loss. We can't win. We pick a win. We're in trouble, man. What are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do, Alfred? Come on, man. Come on. We're trying to.
Yeah. Alfred, what do you think? Tell us what your pick the rest of the way before we pick Alfred.
I'm expecting 10-2 from Alfred at worst. I'm
gonna be very
he picked
12-0 national championship.
Let's go, man. I love it. I love the optimism.
Prince Getty's gonna call Bill Belichick asking for pointers.
Jarvis, what you got, man? What you got?
Okay, so originally, I'm not gonna lie, I had Duke winning, but I've since thought about it. I got UNC winning this one, but
3 in a row.
Obviously they lost the quarterback and the receiver, but I want to go back to I don't know how the culture is now, inside the locker room, but I know back when I was playing and when Mac Brown was there, we just had a thing to where we couldn't lose to losing to Duke wasn't an option. If you lost, then your name, there's a portrait that goes inside of the hallway. If you don't of all the seniors, if you lose to Duke, then it doesn't go on the wall. And another thing, you just can't lose. Losing to Duke is worse than anything. They made it seem like it was, I don't know, it's just the worst thing ever. And I just can't see. I don't know how the culture is with Bill, or how it is in the locker room, but from my perspective, I don't think going into that game it's just a game they can't lose. I can't see them last year was different. It was a bunch of transfers and all this other stuff, but I think now that they're more together and they've been together for a long time now, well, for a year now, I think going into that game they could be ready. And I feel like they go in there. I don't think they're going to necessarily step on their foot like Riken put their foot down like Riken said, but I think it'll be a close game. I could even see overtime a couple of years ago, last year. I think they went overtime last year too, but I see that being a close game and Carolina coming out with that one.
I like that. Yeah, I think even I would love. I don't really know a lot about what the culture is in the program in terms of only have really small sample size in terms of what it is against in-state opponents. It obviously didn't look like. Obviously how last year went, it didn't seem could have been prioritized a little bit more. But I think even from a player perspective, as you pointed out, Jarvis, I think it's something that if you're a player here, it ain't rocket science to understand that team a few miles down the road, that's a team Carolina doesn't in any sport doesn't accept losing to. So I think that's a good point you brought up there for sure.
Man, Alfred's giving us some entertainment tonight. Rock on.
I don't know what to
keep it up, Alfred. My God, they're going 12-0. They're going 16-0. Okay, so the previous game, the Pitt game, I think there's going to be a game where they just get rolled. It kind of surprises people. I think the schizo nature of college football, especially mediocre teams, the next week Carolina's going to flip the script and play really, really well. I think they go into Duke and win comfortably. At least 10 points. They have the ball. They can run clock to kill the game and get out of there with a W the way Belichick likes to do. And I think that will be the case at Wallace Wade. Whether it's if it's a night game, the atmosphere will be pretty good. Earlier game, maybe not as good, but it'll still be full. It's full when Carolina goes over there. So it'll be, but there's a lot of Carolina fans, right? And so that helps Carolina when they go over there. You were mentioning something about the atmosphere, but they're going to struggle against Pitt. They're going to bounce back. It'll be a good growth win. That's what we'll all talk about and write about. They'll go to Duke, get a big W. And my estimation at that point, I'm just kind of surprising myself, 3-3. So Alfred, 3-3. How many people have 3-3, Alfred? A lot of people wouldn't have 3-3 right with this team.
Optimistic, man. Jarvis, optimistic. I know. You gotta love it. I love it out of you guys.
Alfred's gonna be our punching bag tonight now.
Yeah, absolutely. He brought it on himself.
I think it'll be key for this to dominate time of possession and don't play from behind, because I do really like Nate Shepherd, Duke running back, returning to the Blue Devils. I liked him a lot. Even when I was looking at the preseason, I was posting my vote for the all preseason teams, the different positions. I looked at running back, and I didn't end up voting for him, but Nate Shepherd was someone I really, really thought about. I think he's a really, really good player. So if you can play from ahead, eliminate him being able to run the ball and drain the clock, all those things, play from ahead against Duke, I think you got a good chance.
So what you're saying is, no, if Carolina's like bottom of the barrel and like run defense, then Duke wins this game. Is that kind of what you're saying right there?
Well, look, if Duke jumps out to a 10, 14-point lead and get into the second half with the lead, they're going to let their star running back run. I mean, that's just would be the smart thing to do. So if you can play from ahead, eliminate them being able to run the ball down your throat, I think that always is going to help, especially facing a guy like that.
You got to get him off the field.
Yeah.
I think that I'm not sure these linebackers will cover great. But I think they're going to play the run a little bit better. Last year, they were not always great against the run. They weren't great in pre-snap. And I think the defensive front is solid. Johnson's pretty good. Leroy Jackson's an every down guy. And Xavier Lewis isn't just a guy who can move the pile a little bit. I think they're going to be a little bit better against the run this year. So that might work to their advantage if that's what Duke tries to do. Obviously, this game's 2 months away, but some of the fun looking ahead is sort of thinking of these different scenarios. And the great thing about college football is by the time we get there, the scenarios may be completely changed.
Yeah, all fair. Carolina win, short and simple. This is, for my predictions, this is Carolina fans watching. This is when the fun starts happening this season. Things about to start moving here, guys. I'm telling Alfred, stick around, buddy. I'm telling you, the positive vibes.
Alfred's 4-2. That means he was incredibly negative twice.
It's exactly. That's what I'm saying, man. Like, come on,
Alfred, get with it.
Got to get with
We're
it.
having fun with you, Alfred. Alfred, thank you for participating. This is awesome.
Shout out Alfred, man. He's making this thing extra fun. All right, moving on to the next game. Syracuse at home. Mr. Steve Angeli back at the calling the shots for Syracuse at the quarterback position. Pretty good team last year up until he got hurt. UNC 5-3 in their last 8 against the Orange, including best performance of the season last year. I think a lot of people would agree with in Syracuse, a game in which Noah and AJ were at. So, all right, Noah, we're starting with you, man. Is the winning streak continuing at home against the Orange?
Well, I don't think this game looks like it did last year. Steve Angeli is not a lacrosse player. That's who it was, right? Lacrosse player and quarterback last year.
I felt so bad for that kid. Dude.
That was a bizarre game. But look, the last 2 seasons for Syracuse couldn't have been further opposite. Right? 3-9, 10-3, I think were the 2 games for them, total record. Kyle McCord 2 years ago led the country, I think, in passing yards for Fran Brown. Mm-hmm. I mean, just a phenomenal season. 2025, Angeli gets hurt and everything goes downhill for them. It was an atrocious season in every aspect for Fran Brown. I think he turns around their program and gets them back to at least the 500 mark. Now, I don't know. I'm not sitting up here to predict Syracuse's record. It's not what we're doing. I like Fran Brown as well as a coach. I think he'll have these guys ready. I think home field advantage for this, as Riken pointed out first, having this game at home, I think is a big deal. Not having to go back out to Syracuse. I like Angeli as a quarterback. I love Calvin Russell, their wide receiver, incoming freshman, number 2 wide receiver in the entire country. committed to Syracuse, 6'5", incoming freshman, 5-star receiver. I'm excited to see him, watch him in person. I think long-term, he's going to be a stud. Short-term, I pick Carolina to win and get that 2-game win streak going.
Yeah. I saw that Syracuse story pop up. That was a great comment. Shout out to that guy for remembering that story. That was a heck of a one last year. AJ almost got assaulted in a Denny's or something like that. We'll put it like
I'm
that.
Still waiting for my coffee.
Yeah, the power out at the hotel. I don't even want to think about that. I'm getting mad just
I sent you the video. I sent Jake.
Oh yeah, it's just unbelievable. I had to go solo that night and then got abused in the comments for saying Carolina, like, let's pump the brakes a little bit. Carolina just beat an okay Syracuse team. I got just absolutely
you're a punching bag in the comments.
I got obliterated for that, dude. I got obliterated for that. I was like, man, what did I say? I don't even say anything. I was being positive. I was just saying Syracuse isn't that good. I don't know what to tell you. All right, right.
By the way, Noah, remember after Bill's presser there in that tiny little cubicle, that asbestos-filled cubicle they put us in for post-game, when I said something about beating a lacrosse player in a Howell lacrosse place and Bill being a lacrosse guy, he's like, he kind of like snickered and laughed a little bit. It's like, my God, we got a little laughter out of Bill Belichick. That was
and within the past month, we've gotten quite a bit too. We've gotten
that was
laughter.
the best part of my night with everything else that was going on.
Yeah, bad night besides that.
That was funny.
Yeah. Riken, what you got, man?
I just want to first say, for the sake of AJ's connectivity, I'm glad this one's in Chapel Hill. I remember that was a nightmare last year too. Could not find internet in the Carrier Dome. That was wild.
I was firing cuss words out like there was no tomorrow.
Yeah, in the group chat, it definitely was. It was
a JMA wireless dome. Heavy emphasis on the wireless because the wireless is just fantastic there.
I'm pretty sure that was on Halloween too. I
was.
Say.
Yep.
Yeah. So just a great time. No, Syracuse this year, new defense coordinator. They were not good defensively last year. I don't know about Angeli. Whoever knows about a quarterback coming back from an Achilles. It always, really disrupts your mobility. And I think Carolina against pocket passers is going to look really good defensively. I just don't think Syracuse is quite there. I don't think they're going to replicate anything they did 2 seasons ago. Are they going to be as bad as they were last year? I don't think so. But I would say, especially at home with the crowd behind them, I think Carolina starts going on a little bit of a winning streak here. They beat Duke. They beat Syracuse. They're looking at 3-4, and a lot of people are looking and saying, "Okay, I'm okay with where we're at this season."
I love it. All right, Jarvis, where we at?
Originally, this is the only team I had them beating in the ACC, but now that I added Duke, I got them beating Syracuse. Realistically, I don't think it's not much. It's like not much around it. I don't think Syracuse is a good team at all. And like quarterback is probably going to be a statue in the pocket. You never know with the Achilles, and especially with the pass rush from last year. If Jalen Harvey can be even partially as good as Tyler Thompson was last year on the opposite of Melcard, then I think they win this game with no problem, as long as the offense does what they're supposed to do.
I like that. Yeah, I think that's a good prediction right there. I'm leaning that way too. Before we get to me though, AJ, what we got, man? Are you going to keep the win streak alive?
Yeah, it was during that stretch, Jarvis, when they played Syracuse, when Tyler was really playing well. His coming out party was at Berkeley, and he played really well for about 4 or 5 weeks. They'll have to deal with him, Louisville, this year. I think Fran Brown could end up being a really good head coach. And when you lose your quarterbacks like he did, it destroys everything. So maybe we give him a mulligan on last year to a degree. This year, we're going to learn if Fran Brown's a pretty good coach, I think. Year 3. It's kind of all his stuff now. McCord helped him a lot. Maybe he saved him 2 years ago, and last year the quarterback situation killed him. So where are they? Are they somewhere in the middle? Perhaps somewhere in the middle. And if they are, that's a team that could come in and win in Chapel Hill. But I think Carolina, I had no idea. Honestly, guys, I didn't pre-plan this before I came on here at all. I had no idea I would have them sitting here at 4-3. Part of it is because I've been thinking more and more lately that the schedule isn't going to be as hard as we thought maybe a month ago. So I'm going to have the Tar Heels winning this one and being 4-3, and Alfred will send me roses.
Yes. He's going to be fired up on that one. I'm joining the bandwagon, boys. This is one I just didn't even have to think about.
I can't believe I have that.
Yeah. I didn't even have to think about it. Just Syracuse win when I was doing this. North Carolina win, excuse me. UNC is going to win this game. I'll make that clear. I just said Syracuse win. Carolina beat Syracuse. Not like last year. I don't think we're seeing quite that level of a blowout, but I do think Carolina wins this one somewhat. I don't want to. No, I take that back. I was going to say somewhat comfortably. I'm switching on the fly. I think this is going to be a relatively tight game. Carolina pulls away a little bit in the fourth quarter, does enough to win, but I think Carolina keeps that two-game winning streak alive. So win at Duke and then following up with a win at Syracuse. So, all right, guys, recap. Actually, let's keep it moving. Then we'll recap after this before we start the final 4 games of the year, because we got another big one coming up, another fantastic game in Kenan Stadium, North Carolina versus Miami, another legit national championship contender. This is kind of the bad news about this game, guys. It's a good Miami team, preseason number 7 in the polls. This is a team that a lot of people are picking to win a national title game, played the national title game last season, got Darian Mintz in there. People are loving Miami. The good news for North Carolina, though, is, guys, Carolina 7-3 since 2014 against the Hurricanes, have not lost at home to Miami since 2017. So a little good news, bad news here. But Noah, lead the way. Where are we going with this one? And who's talking about Venmo and AJ some money right here? I saw a little comment in there. I need a percent of that one too. Come on, guys. I need a percent of that too. Make sure I get a little bit of that.
I'm gonna end up regretting this show.
All right, Noah.
Miami, number 7 preseason AP team in the country. I think Miami wins comfortably here. I love Darian Mensah's fit in Miami. I love Cooper Barcade out there. I love Mark Fletcher. Defensively, they lost a lot. They lost Akeem Mesidor, Ruben Bain on the edge, right? Both going pretty early on in the NFL draft. But they did add some guys as well from the portal. Damon Wilson, who started off his career at Georgia. I think they have a lot of talent. Obviously, Malachi Toney is probably really a top 2 wide receiver in the entire country. I do think Miami wins this one comfortably, although it feels like Miami's always good for a questionable loss every year. Don't know which one it'll be this year, if any. But I think Miami wins this one comfortably, pulls away probably. Maybe it's close first half, maybe it's close, but then they pull away in the second half and ultimately win by a couple of scores. Miami's just too good. Their talent level is up there, and I think riding high off of a national championship appearance, I think they get back in the playoffs and they make another run.
All right, Rocky.
Yeah, I'm not going to forget the fact that Miami was in a national championship. They weren't even in the ACC championship, where a 7-win Duke ended up winning, 8-win Duke.
Yeah.
8-win Duke. So that just goes to show they're going to have their stumble in ACC play at some point. That's honestly just the Miami way. I think it is. And I think they're an extremely talented team, and that's what talented teams have to deal with in college football. That's just how it is. There's a lot of teams will give you your best shot when you're the top dog, and if they're not careful, that's just what it'll be. I like to do these predictions with reason. You just will go into a college football game never knowing what can happen, right? This could be the game that they slip. I don't know if Miami's going to have slipped already in ACC play in there, and this is the game. This is their get-back game, something like that. But I'm going to go with reason. I'm going to say Miami is just the more talented team, even though it is in Chapel Hill. I'm going to go with what they got coming back and just the firepower they have. I don't think Carolina has anything that can match that. But then again, if it is that week that Miami decides, we're going to have our slip, we're going to have our fumble in ACC play, maybe Carolina's the benefactor of it. As it sits right now, I'm going to go ahead and say that's going to be a loss for Carolina.
All right. Yeah, no, I think that's going to be a popular pick here based on what I'm seeing in the comments. I'm seeing the same thing. Real quick, shout out to Garrett. He's on all our live streams. We appreciate you tuning in, Garrett. AJ's disappointed you're a Braves fan, but we'll let that one slide here.
I'm not watching the Orioles, by the way, are in the wild card right now if the season were to end. So
yeah, y'all turned it around, man.
They're trying to win. They're trying to sweep Tampa on the road 4 in a row.
Y'all figured it out,
They're
man.
playing right now, and I don't have the TV on because I didn't want to be distracted tonight.
Yeah, I respect
totally
that.
Dialed in, guys.
That's fantastic stuff from you, AJ. I would have had the TV on for sure. All right, Jarvis, what we got, man?
Honestly, I feel like it's going to be similar to the Notre Dame game. It's just the talent is just way too different, and if I'm being honest, I just don't think they have a chance. I don't think the record over the last few years even matters. 7-3, whatever it was. I don't think that matters at all. Just look at the talent versus each team is just way too different. I think Notre Dame Miami rolls away with it.
Yeah. AJ, are you going in a different direction here?
Yeah. I think this is one of those games where we could outline. Noah's great going first because he's talking about all these different teams and what they have and stuff, and you could sit there and point to every position group on Notre Dame's roster, and the one that Carolina, if healthy, might be comparable to, might be tight end. And that's kind of wishful thinking in the sense that we haven't seen the Carolina tight ends do it consistently yet. They just have a lot of talent. I think it's going to be a fairly lopsided loss. It's going to be Halloween. And if it's Halloween, if it's nighttime, Reich and Jarvis, those students aren't sticking around if it's ugly. Carolina better hope for a noon
they might not
start.
Show up in general if it's Halloween night,
A noon start at home against Miami, that might be best case scenario. Now they're going to lose by a considerable margin that day. I think Mario's figured things out.
Yeah, I'm in that. I'm in that boat too. Carolina's not winning this game. It's just not happening. I feel the exact same way about the Notre Dame game. I think there's just a big talent gap there, as Jarvis alluded to. But weird, Carolina's just had this knack of beating Miami. And I know it isn't the same Miami we saw last year over the last 10 years, but I mean,
those Carolina has dysfunctional Miami.
Yeah,
teams.
Man, they've had this weird knack of like just beating Miami. And I've always said I don't trust Miami. I have trust issues with Miami. They kind of cured some of that last year, despite them how that national championship game ended. That was a good Miami team last year, especially got hot towards the end of the season. But yeah, I can't see a win here. I think Darian Mintz is a really good quarterback. I think he's a really good Miami team. I actually don't think Miami is going to be as good as some people think. That is my bold prediction for this ACC season. Why? I have no idea. It's just straight vibes is the only thing I'm going on right there. I don't think Miami is going to be a national championship contender, a legit national championship contender, but I think they're going to be a very, very good football team.
I think the ACC needs them to be that.
They do.
I think the big difference now at Miami is they're not dysfunctional anymore. They were dysfunctional for 25 years, 23 years. They're not dysfunctional now.
Yeah, no, I always used to say about Miami, it was a team that came in with a lot of kind of, flexing, rah-rah stuff ready to go. But if you could punch them in the mouth early, some of those old Miami teams, they would crawl up in a corner and kind of wither away. I don't think this Miami program's like that anymore. By the way, shout out CJ Hooker in the comments, former North Carolina basketball player. I'm assuming it's the same one. That profile picture looks like him at least. So shout out CJ Hooker.
CJ's good dude. So remember at the old site about 7 years ago, I did that thing, the best Tar Heel from each of the 50 states.
Oh, yeah.
Either basketball or football. CJ was our representative from Alaska.
Let's go. Oh, yeah. CJ Hooker from
He was on the 05 championship team. He was
absolutely
a damn good high school player in Alaska, and he was on the 05 championship team. He's got himself some bling, kids.
Bling, bling. Man, he needs to change that profile picture to just a picture of that bling, bling on his wrist. That's what I would do,
His kids are growing up fast, too.
Yeah.
If you follow him on Facebook, his kids are
He's
growing
been in
up
some
fast.
of I've seen him in our YouTube comments before.
He's a good dude.
Yeah, he is. I appreciate you watching, CJ. Big shout out to you, man. All right, guys. Where are we at record-wise? Let's recap record-wise. Noah, what's your record so far?
Okay, what are we at? So I had them starting 1-4, and then so had them starting 1-4. 1-5 was 3-5. Yeah, I think it is 3-5.
3-5, Riker. Where are we at?
Yeah, I'm the same. 3-5.
Okay. Jarvis, where are you at?
I think I'm
expecting to count them up. Feel free.
I think because I had them beating. I'm either 4 and I don't.
Jarvis and I are the same.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Jarvis.
We're not going to admit the 4-4. We're just going to say that impersonators have hijacked both of us and say that they're 4-4.
I'm 3-5 right now, same as these guys. Moving into the final 4 games of the season. Get your record so far in the comments. I know a few people have already dropped it. Get in there again so I can put it up on screen. At UConn, pretty good team last year. I think they were 9-4 last year. This is a good team, but a lot of turnover this year. A lot of turnover. I don't know what the heck this UConn team's going to be.
A ton of turnover
as well. Yeah, it's just a completely revamped kind of everything over there. Up in Storrs, Connecticut. So it's very interesting to see what this UConn team's going to be, but who knows? Maybe they can find a way to do something similar to what they did last season. Obviously, beating Duke up there last season as well, eventual ACC champion. So, no, what we got in this game, man, I can smell a win on the horizon, but maybe I'm wrong about that.
Well, Jim Mora deserves a tip of the cap, first of all. Did an incredible job as the head coach at UConn. He took over a year after they went 1-11. In the last 2 years under him, they went 9-4. Heck of a turnaround for him.
Left a couple years ago too, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Left UConn for Colorado State. They hired Jason Candle from Toledo as their next head coach. They lost 44 transfers, and they also lost a lot of the production they had last year. Quarterback Joe Fagnano signed with the Ravens as an undrafted free agent. He just threw a touchdown the other night in the preseason playing for them. Skylar Bell was drafted in the 4th round of the Bills. Their standout wide receiver also lost a really good left tackle. Some other guys on defense. Right now they're in a 3-way. I've seen 3-way competition at quarterback. They don't know who's going to start for them. I think they have a Tennessee transfer, a Toledo transfer, and a kid that's remained there. They have a lot of kids that follow Jason Candle from Toledo. So we'll just have to wait and see on a lot of that. A big question mark in terms of the team that they'll put out there. Who knows what they're going to be? It's one of these cases where they have so many different guys coming in that you don't know how they're going to mesh together. I think Carolina is too much for UConn. Again, like I've talked about with the Notre Dame game, with some of those other Miami teams, I think the talent differential is too much, but this side in reverse. So I think Carolina's talent is a little bit too much for UConn. I think Carolina gets it done, even though it's on the road and it probably won't be the prettiest of conditions.
Riken, is Carolina getting a win and hitting the Mohegan Sun Casino after the game, like the great David Jones just put in the comments? Shout out David Jones, by the way. I know who you are. Is that your brother, AJ? Am I wrong in thinking that?
I'm not sure.
It looks like him. It looks like his
there's a lot of David Joneses in the world.
I think that's your.
I don't think my brother's watching our live stream.
Hey man, you never know. Well, I guess we'll find out. Get involved in the comments if you are in fact AJ's brother. All right, Riken, go ahead, man.
No, Bill and the crew should go ahead and put their reservations in for the Mohegan Sun. I feel like that's a pretty easy Carolina win for me. Ask this UNC staff how hard it is to deal with that much turnover in a year. I mean, that's kind of what happened last year. You get all this new, and it's one thing for a power forward team. It's one thing for, an independent. And I just think that UConn they're not going to be able to replicate what they have had after losing all that. And Carolina just goes up there, and weather is always a factor. I saw somebody say, it might be a blizzard up there. You never know with stuff like that, and that could change everything. But that affects both teams. And I'm right now. We're going out and playing on a, they're going out playing on a beautiful sunny day. I think Carolina stomps them and goes home with another victory.
Jarvis, are we staying on the win train?
I think this is a win, and I don't want to call it a trap game because, I don't even know how they're going to be up to that point. But I feel like Bill, even if it's a bad weather game, knowing Bill, he has them well prepared for in game weather for he'll have them prepared for the weather, because I know he does a lot of soapy ball drills and he knows how to simulate different situations like that. So I feel like if they go up there and they follow the game plan, follow everything, and they have the talent. They're obviously more talented than them. I feel like they should go up there and win pretty easily.
All right, AJ. No pressure.
Reading some of these comments, I think a lot of people forget that UConn beat the crap out of Carolina in a bowl game.
Yeah,
not even 2 years ago. So they were a pretty solid team in the last couple of years. Won 18 games. They brought in pretty good coach from Toledo who's had some success. So you don't really know. And they got quarterback questions right now, but they'll answer that question likely. And by the time the Carolina rolls in there, they'll know who they are. And, when you step out of the league that time of year and you're not playing a big game, it's tough sometimes psychologically. It's tough to get up. If it's a noon start and then it's not in stores, it's in East Hartford.
It is.
And
it's a noon start.
It's a noon. Okay, that's right. It is a noon start.
On CBS Sports.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they're going to walk out there at 10 o'clock in the morning and start doing stuff in East Hartford, Connecticut in November. Yeah, they're going to have to get ginned up. They're going to have to find their own energy again. And I question those types of scenarios. I don't know. I'm not sold enough that this team is a lock to go up there and take care of business, because I think UConn is being undersold. Even though Moore's gone, they lost some players, but they're not going to be. It's not going to be like playing at East Tennessee State. It's going to be and it's going to be a pretty big deal with the new staff and everything. That'll be a circle game, and they'll probably they'll be ready to play. So it's kind of a push for me, to be honest with you guys. I think this will be one of those games where a lot is learned about how Belichick communicates. If they're ready and they go up there and they blow the doors off them, or they take control early and own the game, I think that'll be a statement for Belichick, having figured a lot of things at the college level out. If they go up there and they struggle and their coach doesn't get them ready to go with those weird circumstances of the game, I think we could learn that too. It's kind of a push for me. And when there's a push and you go on the road, I'm thinking a very, very narrow loss up there.
Okay. I'm in a similar mind to you, AJ. I really am. I'm picking a win here, but I think it's a tight win. It's a very tight win. I think Carolina's going to find a way late to do it. I just think a lot of uncertainty on that UConn team right now. I do agree. I think they could be better than a lot of people are expecting. Or on the flip side, they could be that kind of typical UConn program that's been one of the worst in college football for as long as I can possibly remember. So I don't think it's going to be a horrible UConn team, but I don't think it's going to be a great North Carolina football team, as you can tell by the predictions I've done so far. So I'm predicting a win here, but I think it's going to be a tight, kind of low-scoring game. And I want to ask you guys a question real quick, quick-fire answers. Over noon game, November 7th in Connecticut, over or under 40 degrees. Give me your one-word answer. No, we're starting with you. Over or under 40 degrees
over.
at kickoff.
Over.
Okay.
Glorious. Over.
Okay. What about you, Riken?
Under.
Okay. Jarvis, over or under 40 degrees?
Probably under.
At kickoff.
Hey, wait, is it at noon? Or they don't know
game.
Yet?
Noon game.
Noon.
It's at noon.
I'll say under.
Okay. What you got, AJ? Over or under?
When they come out for warm-ups at 10:15, it'll be 35 degrees, and the grass will be cold and wet too. At kickoff, it'll be 42, and the end of the fourth quarter at 3 p.m., it'll be 47 degrees. It'll be windy with a little mist in the air. Beautiful weather for up there.
Oh, and I love it.
Catch the over.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that. It's a great answer, AJ. I'm going.
A sports writer's dream, walking to his car 5 hours after the game ends.
Literally, I agree with AJ. Below 40 at warm-ups, but kickoff, 12:05, probably looking at 12:05 kickoff. They can't start a game on time to save their life on TV. 12:05, 12:10 kickoff. I'm going to say 42 degrees. I think Noah said 42. I'm going 42 degrees in there. I'm going to agree with him on that one. All right, let's keep this show on the road, guys. Louisville coming up next, November 14th in Kenan Stadium, coming in 24th ranked team going into the season, but a program and a team as well, which I'm sure Noah alludes to a little bit. Some turnover on this roster as well. I mean, it's not like they're just getting everybody back. They've lost some guys, and they're going to have to replace some guys on over there in Louisville. But Carolina 1-4 in their last 6 games against the Cardinals. So Noah, what we got? Carolina over Louisville or Louisville over Carolina?
I have Carolina 4-5 going in, and I am a big Louisville believer. Unfortunately, for a lot of Carolina fans listening to this, I like Louisville a lot, and that's not because of any bias. Lincoln Keenholz is going to be their quarterback, Ohio State transfer, and Julian Sayin was obviously a Heisman candidate, but before the season last year at Ohio State, there was a quarterback competition. A lot of people were, okay, there's really no competition. Sayin's going to be the starter. But word from Columbus was that there was a legit competition, and Lincoln Keenholz is pushing him for the job. I don't know how true that was behind the scenes, but that was the word coming out. And so I think Lincoln Keenholz is in a perfect spot. Jeff Brom is known as this quarterback whisperer. I think their offense can be good. I really like Isaac Brown, their running back. He was limited a bit last year, but was on pace to have a monster season. I really like him at running back. Tyler Thompson revenge game, potentially in Kenan Stadium. I like Louisville getting the job done. I think they're more talented. I think they're a sleeper team potentially to win the ACC potentially and maybe even make the playoffs. So I like Louisville a lot. It's obviously a pretty bold prediction considering the quarterback that's going to start for them has not started games at this level ever, but they paid him quite a bit of money. They believe in him. And so I think Louisville is going to be a good team this year. I think they beat Carolina in Kenan Stadium.
Let me jump in. Noah, now you knew I was going to mention that about McCroy. I knew you were going to go all massaging the whole quarterback Ohio State thing there because you got a chance to talk about it, and I knew you would.
Hey, well, he's also
right, you're right. I think he's one of those players right now that people who follow college football really don't know who he is, but they will by the time that game is being played.
He's a dual threat guy too. So this isn't someone that's just going to beat you with his arm. He can run. He's really athletic.
Perfect.
They're going to run the read option. It's perfect. It is. And it's a perfect situation for him.
Yeah, Noah said earlier that he's like, I like Notre Dame. I like watching Notre Dame. And I was like, he's an Ohio State graduate. Is he allowed to say that? Like, I know they're not rivals or anything, but like, it's too big time football. Is he allowed to say that? If I clip that up and send it to your Ohio State community, are you going to get just crucified for that, Noah?
We're not. If you followed our coverage, we're not discounting this. Not at all.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
That's why I had him in 4-4.
Watch our other podcast. You are not going to get a ton of in-depth analysis and observations about Bobby Petrino in this. So go watch our other podcasts. We've done plenty of that so far throughout training camp and before that. That's not the show for this, unfortunately. All right, Reich. So Noah, Louisville with the win. Reichen, what you got?
I'm going to say Louisville's going to have one of the better rushing attacks in the country. I mean, they've got a couple guys returning. Their top guy is Isaac Brown. He led the country in yards per carry. Had 8.8 yards per carry. I mean, something ridiculous. I think Carolina is going to have a great – let me back. I think they're going to have a good rushing defense. I think that's an area that they're going to improve in a lot. They weren't terrible at it last year. I think they're only going to get better at it. So I think they're going to make – Keen Knowles, I think they're going to make him throw the ball. And that's when you have to start questioning, who is this guy? And right now, I think he's going to be good enough to get it done for them, right? But then again, if you ask me 4 weeks into the season and the kid is, he's not the guy that people were thinking, he's not that Ohio State kind of caliber quarterback, then, I'm looking back at this game and I'm saying, okay, I think Carolina can get it done because they're going to stuff that run so well. Right now, I'm going to say Louisville takes this one. I think it's going to be a close game because they're going to force Louisville out of what they want to do. And I think Carolina is going to stay sort of tit for tat with them down all the way down. But at the end of the day, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Keen Knowles. I'm going to say he's going to figure it out. He's going to be he's going to be a good enough quarterback to pull that game out. And who knows, maybe he's going to be the Heisman. Maybe he's going to be the bust of the century. But, I think Louisville is going to take this game. It's going to be a close one. But Carolina's sitting at 4-6 right now for me.
A reply to this post right here. It's not possible to underestimate that.
Yeah, we'll find out for sure this season how bad they really were.
We've pretty clear and concise about that.
It's gonna be awkward when Gio Lopez throws for 4,000 yards in Wake Forest this year.
I had somebody in the media told me at ACC kickoff, Gio Lopez, honorable mention on ACC quarterback. Mark it down.
Yeah, honestly, it'll probably happen. To be honest,
I can see it.
Honestly, it's probably gonna happen. I might go place a bet on that right after we get off this. All right, Jarvis. What you got, Jarvis?
I'm straightforward. I think Louisville is going to come in there and honestly, it's not even going to be close. I feel like it depends on a lot with how the quarterback situation is for North Carolina up to that point to see if their offense can even keep up with Louisville's offense, especially with Isaac Brown because they're pretty dominant with him. And honestly, straightforward as it sounds, I just don't see them keeping up with Louisville at all. I think Louisville runs away with it. I don't even think it's a debate.
Yeah, sorry to cut you out, Jarvis. I think Carolina's got playing three teams ranked in the preseason poll. I don't think anybody on this panel has picked them to win a single one of those games. Notre Dame, Miami, and now Louisville. So can AJ win that streak? I don't know, man. I could see AJ throwing a win in here. I don't think he's going to, but it wouldn't shock me if he did.
I like so much about Baram in Louisville, and I think that at some point he's going to bust through. But one thing not mentioned is they got a whole new offensive line. So we'll see how the offensive line comes along there. That will determine whether or not I think Louisville has a chance to bust through. I think this is one of those games where Louisville doesn't play great. It's on the road. It's November. It may be a little bit gloomy outside, and Carolina rises up and plays pretty well. And I think it'll be a fairly close game. Louisville will find a way to win. And sometimes teams that are really good have one of those games on the road, but they find a way to win and they move on. And a team like Carolina at that point in time, they'll know a lot of who they are. Whoever the quarterback is at that time will be the quarterback. The guy as long as there's no injuries, the guy they think should be the quarterback. Whether they go down to Travis Burgess or not, like a lot of people are mentioning in the comments section, we have no idea. I just think at that point, Carolina, it's one of those games they'll play pretty well. Louisville won't play well, but Louisville will find a way to win.
Yeah.
The offensive line. Watch the offensive line for Louisville. All brand new.
It's a good point. It's a good point on that because that is something to watch for sure. That's huge. That can completely flip a season for you. I'm going Carolina loss in this one. It's just similar, but I just think Louisville's too good. I think on paper, again, we're analyzing this months out from this game even happened. Maybe Louisville's one of those teams, as AJ mentioned, with that new look O-line. Maybe Louisville's one of those teams that's not as good as some people are expecting them to be. Coming at 24 in the poll, I feel like those teams that are kind of ranked in those high 20s are the ones that could really go either direction going into the season. I think Louisville is going to be pretty good. I don't think they're going to be I don't think they're going to win the ACC or anything like that, but I think they'll contend for it. But I just can't see Carolina winning this one. I do think Carolina will be playing better football this time of year. I mean, I've alluded to it. I got Carolina beating Duke, Syracuse, losing to Miami, and beating UConn. I mean, that's 3 out of the last 4. That's 3 wins and 4 going into this one. So I do think Carolina, a young Carolina team, is going to get better throughout the season, as we've seen, similar to what we saw in year 1 under Bill Belichick. But I think this Louisville game at home, albeit, is a step too far. But who knows, guys? Maybe it ends up being like the UVA game last year, where a good Louisville team overlooks Carolina a little bit, comes in flat, and Carolina's a goal line fumble away, Kobe Paysour fumble away, potentially from beating UVA and upsetting them. So maybe it ends up being like that. But right now, I just can't predict that based on.
That's what I envision with a little more scoring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I could see that. I could easily see that. I really could. I think that one's one. I wouldn't be surprised if some Carolina fans out there have Carolina winning that game. That being kind of the upset win of the season. That wouldn't shock me at all. All right, guys.
I'm probably the only one on this panel that remembers that, but yes. How about Louisville came in and beat them 30-0 in Chapel Hill, and Bunning's post-game press conference? They came in here, they pulled our pants down, and they spanked us.
I think that was the first Carolina game I went to, was Carolina Louisville Bunning era, when they got just mollywopped, to steal one of Noah's terms. That's the first Carolina game I remember going to, because we had just moved to this area. I think that was my first game. I was like, this is Carolina football? What the heck are we watching here? It was just a horrific game. They didn't even show up. Wasn't a good team, though. So, all right, guys. 2 more to go. At Virginia and NC State. Let's start with Virginia, obviously. November 21st on the road. A Virginia team that's coming off a heck of a year, ACC title game appearance, but they've lost their quarterback in Chandler Morris. But, man, if they replaced him with a pretty dang good quarterback on paper, at least, in Bo Prabula, a guy that's Penn State, Missouri, been all around the block. I really like that replacement for them. I think he's going to be a good quarterback in this league for UVA. It's also a team that returns a lot of players. And as I mentioned earlier, Carolina goal line fumble, maybe because of the time it happened, away from potentially winning that UVA game. But again, that was a game, as we talked about in that analysis, that UVA team just did not show up for that one. But credit to Carolina, they almost took advantage of it fully. So, Noah, start with you once again at UVA, late November game. It's going to be chilly up there, especially depending on the time of the day, but absolutely beautiful place to watch a football game that time of year. So, we gonna have a positive day for Carolina up in Charlottesville? Or is there going to be the opposite?
So, Carolina's last 2 trips to Charlottesville, I was looking at this earlier today, and they've put up 72 points combined their last 2 trips there. 41 and 34, I think, something like that. I mean, that's pretty impressive stuff, going up to Charlottesville and doing that. I do like Bo Prabula in this spot at Virginia. I think he's the perfect sort of replacement from last year, inserting him into there. He has the SEC experience. He's got the Big Ten experience. I think that's a perfect spot for him. They also brought in a pair of transfer receivers. I'm excited to watch Rico Flores from UCLA and a kid from Kent State who played really well. So I'm excited to see those 2 guys. They're both expected to start for him. So some new look receivers out there on the perimeter. A lot of defensive transfers as well. Maybe not all that are going to start, but at least depth-wise, they've got a lot of new faces on the defense. Late in the year, I think Virginia wins this in a close game like they did at Kenan Stadium the year before that. That game was, an overtime, a pass to Benjamin Hall, who was literally 2 inches short of potentially winning that 2-point conversion. They lost 17-16. I think it's potentially a really close game again, similar to that, potentially overtime. I think Virginia at home, I think they win in a game late in November as well. We all know how the weather's going to be up in Charlottesville at that time too.
Jacob, I had to put this and pin this up there. That's
first
you know the
game,
story.
Right?
That's the first game I ever covered of any kind. Remember the media?
Oh my!
Yeah,
Carolina was sick.
200 times.
Yeah, Carolina was sick, but a lot of people here have only heard it 15 times. 6 in the country going up. They win that thing. They're in what became the BCS. Anyway, they end up losing the game. They're 17-3, and they blow with 10 minutes left, and they blow it. And what ended up happening is they threw an interception that was returned 100 yards for a touchdown. Mac told me a few years ago that his biggest regret of a decision he made in a game as a coach was not running the ball in that 3rd down and then kicking a field goal to go up 20-3. They did that. Things could have been very, very different in Carolina football. I just told you Jarvis' story the other day on the phone.
It's a great story. It's my
first game I ever covered of any kind, and it was that.
And
arguably the most devastating loss in Carolina football history.
Yeah.
81 at Oklahoma was pretty big too.
What could have been, you know what I mean? What could have been. All right, Riken, what you got?
This one's the biggest coin flip for me in the entire schedule. I just think UVA, now they're bringing back a lot. They had a good season. They had some slip-ups at times. Obviously, they almost lost to Carolina at Carolina, but that was a Heels team that was really fighting for something to kind of come out and be like, okay, we did that well. And for it going in the loss column last year, that game against Virginia was a win in my eyes. I'm sitting down there and you're saying, okay, this team can kind of run with some of the top guys in this conference as Virginia was at the time. So I think that was a good sign for Carolina fans. I think this year UVA, I think they're going to be pretty similar in terms of talent level. I think they've got a good QB battle. Prbula and Eli Holstein's over there from Pittsburgh. And I think Elliott is just going to find that groove. I think he kind of was really figuring out the team. Tony Elliott was last year. And I just think they're going to be a solid team. I think they're going to be a contender in the ACC. I don't, is the ACC going to be at a point where they're going to slip into the to the championship game again? Who knows? That's just the parity of this league. But at the moment, I'm going to have Virginia squeaking out a win. But really, UNC Virginia rivalry is always a great one. It's always going to be a show, just like Noah mentioned. I mean, you're talking about the times Carolina goes in there as the heavy favorite, loses. Last year when UVA comes up, almost loses as the heavy favorite. It's just there's a lot of parity that goes with it. And but for now, and it kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier, Jacob. It's like until I see them play, I don't know. I just don't know what this Carolina team is. I don't know if they have the juice to keep up with this Virginia team. I've seen this Virginia team and actually at least most of this Virginia team because they're bringing a lot of those guys back. So I'm going to say Virginia wins this game and Carolina is sitting at 4-7 going to the final week.
Jarvis, where we at?
I want to go back to I feel like everything, I feel like it's just like what AJ said and what Riken said. This is like one of our UNC's biggest rivalries. So I feel like it's going to be a very competitive game. I think it's a toss-up too, especially if you got games like 2023 where UNC was supposed to go in and win that game. They came in the game 6-0. And then after that, there was a turning point in the season. Then 2024, they go down in Charlottesville, blow them out. And then last year, UVA was supposed to win by they were supposed to win. They were number 15 in the country. Toss-up towards the end. But I think it's going to be a close game that comes down to the end. And ultimately, I think that UNC wins this one. So I came in here thinking that UVA was going to win this one, but I changed my mind. I think they go down there, they surprise everybody and get a win.
Okay.
I call that the Alfred effect.
I was about to say, the comments, the optimism in the comments is getting to Jarvis, man. He wants to bring some light to this show.
I like it, Jarvis. Somebody needed to do it. Somebody needed. I love it. Keep it coming, man. Keep it coming. All right, AJ, where we at?
I think this could be another game, a little bit like the Louisville game, but kind of a similar type script, but different. UVA won't be what Louisville is, obviously. This will be a pretty good game. I think Carolina at that point would be fairly solid, but even though I see them losing some games, what my biggest question, guys, aside from depth in some areas, is who do they have that can make a play that changes a game? I don't see much of that on the roster. When I look at UVA, I don't know if they have a lot of that either, but they have 48,000 college snaps on the roster. Mm-hmm. Carolina has like 21,000 or something crazy like that. Mm-hmm. So UVA may not have some of those guys, but they've got fortitude and they've got a foundation of guys that have seen a lot and they'll gradually get better. And if Tony Elliott, if he's more like last year than the previous couple of years, and that's where this program is headed, I think that they'll play well and be positioned to win that game. But I think Carolina will go up there and play them pretty tough. I think it'll be a good football game. In fact, I think the last month of the season, even if I have Carolina losing a lot of those games, I think they'll be competitive. And Bill's not going to lose his team. He didn't lose a team last year when he could have. And this team's a lot more unified than last year's was. So I think they'll play competitively and do some good things, but it's going to be too much to ask to go up there and win against a far more experienced team and a club that I think has a couple more high-end players than Carolina does.
Yeah. Also, one AP top 25 vote for Virginia.
Preseason. Yeah, not a team that I think some people, the jury's out on a little bit. And that's understandable. It was a team last year. I mean, I know they upset Florida State, but when you look at their schedule in hindsight, looking back, they didn't beat a single team that finished ranked in the top 25 last season. So,
and they should have beaten Duke.
Should have beaten Duke. Yeah.
Tony Elliott was exposed a little bit in that game. They should have beaten Duke, and they weren't able to get it done. They had opportunities to get that thing done. They should have done it, and they didn't. And they would have gone into. They would have maybe played in the CFP.
They weren't far away from. They were knocking on the door. They were knocking on the door at that point.
They got rolled in the CFP too.
Yeah. I think Virginia wins this game. I think it's tighter. I think it's a low scoring tight game. And I'll sidebar real quick, but I'll never forget going up to the game back in 2008. I was at that game. AJ, you probably covered this game. Carolina marched down the field on the first drive. Ryan Houston scores that touchdown. They don't score a touchdown the rest of the game. They had 2 field goals, ended up losing that game 16-13. This was a Carolina team that was like 18th in the country. It was a good team, and that was a lot of the reason I bring that up, because that was in an era of Carolina football where they never ever won in Charlottesville. When I was young, like, Carolina never won in Charlottesville. I know they ended up breaking the streak. I think the next time they played in 2010, they ended up whooping them up there.
But that was Casey Barth, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'll never forget.
I actually did not cover that game actually that night.
Did you not? I'll never forget that one. We also
watched it on TV.
29 on the way up there, and we had to change a tire on the side of 29, which is anybody who's ever driven 29 near Charlottesville would not recommend changing a tire on the side of 29 because it's one of the smallest highways on the planet. But yeah, I'll never forget going up to that game because such a high. Carolina was kind of like, man, they're going to banish those Charlottesville demons this year. Score on that first drive and just laid an egg the rest of the game. Ended up losing 16-13. So
didn't Dwight Jones have like 16 catches that night?
What'd you say?
Didn't Dwight Jones have like 16 catches that night?
I don't think it was that. That was the 2010 game when they rolled.
2010 game, yeah.
Remember they rolled them in 2000. They banished the Charlottesville Demon. They rolled them in 2010. They absolutely killed them. This is the one they should have won because it was a decent.
And then he threw a giant house party and got in trouble.
Yeah. And the rest is history, as they say. What'd you say, Jarvis?
I said Virginia must have really been like that back then.
I mean, I don't know what it was, man. They just Carolina had.
Well, Virginia was really good in the 90s.
But Carolina just
George
never
Welsh
won up
did
there.
one of the great coaching jobs ever in college football, building Virginia into a nationally relevant program. They were number 1 in 1990 when Georgia Tech went in and beat them in what I still consider the greatest ACC football game ever played. That team went to the Orange Bowl. And Georgia Tech won the national championship.
Yeah. Virginia's historically a really good program. Carolina just had no success up there in the early 2000s. They just always lost when they went up there, especially even going back into the 90s a little bit. But yeah, guys, we are getting close to wrapping this one up. We got someone in here saying 2 hours, fellas. We knew we were going 2 hours, man.
I know.
We're
having fun.
Talk about nothing for an hour. We've been on topic this show. So
you guys knew I was going to sidebar like 18 times. For goodness sakes. That's part of the deal.
We're going to wrap it up soon, though. We only got one game left on the schedule. But just to recap, I predicted a loss there. NC State, as Jarvis just alluded to. This is the big one, guys. I know I've said that 7 times this show. This is the big one. Noah, tell me, Carolina can't lose to NC State again. Let me preface it with this, because this is the what does Brett Freelander call it? AJ, is it the law of the wolf? Is that what he calls it? Law of the wolf? This is the law of the wolf. This is an NC State team. I know CJ Bailey's back. I get it. But everybody knows when Dave Doran has no expectations on his team, this is going to be a pretty good NC State team. This is not an NC State team that's coming in with these preseason top 25 rankings, and they're going to, not have a very good year, but find a way to beat Carolina on the final game of the season. This is a NC State team that does not have any expectations going into this year. Therefore, they'll probably find a way to win 8 or 9 games. So, Noah, is Carolina going to end the losing streak against the Wolfpack and pick up their first win over NC State since 2020? Because they're 0-5 in their last games against the Wolfpack. And I've said it once, I'll say it again. That is unacceptable. This should never happen in Chapel Hill. Do we lose Noah? Is his Wi-Fi unconnected?
His Wi-Fi had trouble this past weekend.
It's all right. We can audible. AJ,
we'll go to Rankin
start with you, and then we'll switch the order up to end it. I like that. We'll keep it fresh. AJ, go ahead.
Okay. CJ Bailey, man. I think State's been a better program
AJ. I mean, they're going to be pretty good this year. I do agree with you on that. They're going to be pretty good.
They're certainly a better program the week they play Carolina. again, I think the Tar Heels are going to play well. The game-breaking guys, they don't have those guys that make the play. What is Mac's old slogan was be the one who makes a play that shifts the course of a game. Until we see it, I don't see much of that on this team. And I think to win games like this, you have to have a guy like that. And State, we know, has one in a guy like CJ Bailey. So I'm going to go with State in a close one. I hope it's a night game. I hope the atmosphere is crazy in Chapel Hill. And it would be kind of cool if State happens to be playing for something significant, which some people are projecting, maybe not people that are on national broadcast, but certainly people in Raleigh think they're going to be playing for something, possibly playing for something significant. I think Carolina loses a close one to State.
Okay. I was hoping Carolina fans listening like, oh, I hate that.
I know. Here, the thing about it is, too, let me also say this. The fun thing about making predictions is it's just a stab in the dark, basically.
Yeah, we have no idea.
Especially college football these days. And I'll forget what my prediction was by tomorrow afternoon in terms of the season record, because I don't go on thinking about stuff like that. To me, it's the excitement of the unknown. So if we're all wrong on these, and whenever I'm wrong, like if I pick a game when we do our staff picks, doesn't bother me if I'm wrong, because I love the element of surprise. Mm-hmm. I love covering the element of surprise. And if that is the case with this team and this football team, I think the element of surprise leans more with more wins than 4 than a lot fewer wins than 4.
Okay.
So I have them at 4-8.
Okay. Riken, what you got, man? Give us your prediction for this one and then wrap it up with your final record prediction.
Yeah, so like you said, Jacob, 5 losses in a row is absolutely unacceptable.
I agree, Riken. I agree on that.
CJ Bailey's good.
Should never happen.
CJ Bailey's good. NC State has a lot of turnover at skill positions. A lot of guys moved on because they were really good last year. And like Andrew was saying, it's that kind of thing where when they don't have a lot of talk going into the season, they kind of turn it on. When they do have a lot of talk, they don't. Last year, all State really wanted to do was beat Carolina last week. They didn't really have anything else to play for. It was just, they were going to a bowl game, whatever. They wanted to beat Carolina. I think this year Carolina needs to hope State is playing for something bigger when they go to Chapel Hill. And if that's the case, Carolina's going to win, because that's the nature of rivalries. When you start looking at it past the face value of I want to beat this guy in front of me, that's when it gets bad. And I think right now, State has already they're of the mindset we've already beat these guys 5 times in a row. It's not one of those things about like, oh well, we can't beat these guys. Or I think they're going to be looking at something bigger. They're going to want a good, I'm not going to say ACC championship. I'm not going to say anything like that. I'm saying maybe a good bowl game. I think they're going into that final season looking pretty good on the record. Carolina, by the way I'm predicting it, they have nothing to play for except for that game right there. And I think they'll end up pulling it out. I think they'll snap the streak at home, which is where it should happen. And I think they're going to end up finishing the season on a high note, and that's going to be the game that people look back on and say, okay, maybe we're heading in the right direction. But then again, you never know how it's going to turn out. Right now, you just can't imagine this streak could continue much longer, especially if State's going to have a season where they're trying to get over the hump. I think they might overlook Carolina or think about overlooking Carolina towards the last week, and Carolina wants nothing more than to beat State finally. So
we got Noah back in here. Riken, great stuff from Riken and Jarvis tonight, man. Especially Jarvis making his debut here. We got Noah back in here. Jarvis, I'm going to go with you first, and then I'll give my prediction, and we'll see if Noah's Wi-Fi is back in here. I'm seeing some movement up there from Noah, so I think his Wi-Fi is alive. So Noah, I'm not going to cut to you yet. I'm going to get Jarvis's, then I'll get yours. So just hold out until then. But Jarvis, just go ahead and give me your prediction for this, and then if we need to tally up your final record at the end, we can do that, because I need to go count mine too, to be honest, because I'm forgetting exactly what I did. So what you got for the State game?
Okay, first off, being a former player, I know that a lot of at UNC, they believe that Duke is the rival, NC State is the little brother. They're not even a rival. We're their rival, basically, is how they view it. Well, yeah, that's how they view it. And one thing I know is that NC State absolutely hates North Carolina, and they're going to go in there and playing with an edge. And I also see that the talent on NC State this year is just, in my opinion, way better. And honestly, I don't see this game being close. I think NC State runs away with this one. It's been years North Carolina's beat them, and I just don't see this year being the year that it even happens. So, as bad as it sounds, I see State winning this one. I don't remember my record by this point, but
I'll let you count.
Will they plant a flag at the 50? Like a couple years ago?
God.
On the turf.
Oh.
On the turf.
Oh my God.
The best part about that was JJ Jones would grab the flag and chuck it in the stands. That was absolutely fantastic. Like, highlight reel, man. Put that on his
We need
reel.
a lot more JJ Joneses around.
Yeah.
Good dude.
What'd you say, Jarvis?
I know it's something worse than that, though. Like my first 2022 in the overtime where Noah Burnett missed the game winning, I think it was an extra point or a PAT.
Yeah.
Gosh, I've never seen a locker room so bad. That was top 2 worst moments ever, probably in front of behind JMU. But yeah, that's my piece.
I was on the field for that game too, but I was not dressed out like Jarvis was. Let's put it that way. All right, no, I'm going to cut to Noah real quick, and then I'll give my prediction. Noah, I think Noah's back in here. We'll see if his Wi-Fi can hold up. Last prediction. Can we make it happen right here, Noah?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes.
We can hear you.
All right. I'll keep it quick just in case. I say NC State comes in and wins again. I don't know what everyone else picked. I think Carolina loses. I love CJ Bailey. I think he has that it factor. I think that could be the difference. I think Carolina finishes 4-8 is their final record.
Okay. I'm in the same boat. I'm giving you the most basic, just non-hard hitting analysis on the planet. Until I see Carolina beat State again, I'm not going to predict it. And this is the thing that's disappointed me about the last 3 losses in particular. I'm not counting the OT loss that Jarvis referenced back in 2022. I was on the field.
By the way, here's another guy who hasn't listened to our other pods at all.
Oh, you know this was coming though, man. We could say Carolina was 6-6 and he'd make the same comment. We can't win with some of these people. But
I love it.
Last 3. One of the most disappointing things for me about Carolina's last 3 performances in losses against NC State, I was on the field in Raleigh in 2023. We don't need to rehash that.
Oh my gosh.
Jarvis, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I was on the field I'm not really. I mean, the Chapel Hill game in 2024 was good. Carolina just didn't quite have enough to win that game. That was a kind of a weird team too. But when I look at Carolina's last 2 trips to Raleigh, and I know this one's going to be in Chapel Hill, but I still want to make this point. One of the biggest things I've been disappointed with some of Carolina's last performances against NC State is the body language. I felt like it was teams that, especially in Raleigh, just did not want to be there. I think we saw it again last year in the Bill Belichick era, and I count the same thing in 2023. We saw some fight at home back in 2024. Literally, we saw some fights at the end of the game. But maybe that happens again this year. I don't know what kind of position Carolina is going to be in. I have them going 4-8, but I think Carolina loses this game. I think somehow, some way, Carolina finds a way to lose 6 games in a row to NC State. And until I see this game mean as much, at least outwardly, to the Carolina players and staff as it just means to the NC State players and staff, it's so evident, especially on the field, how up they are for this game. Until I see that same body language coming from North Carolina, it's really hard for me to predict a win here. So I'm going a loss here as well. I do think it's going to be a tight game again. I think maybe it's something similar to what we saw in 2024, which was like 35-30. But I hate to say it, man. I take no pleasure in saying it, but I can't see Carolina winning this game. Excuse me. So 4-8, disappointing loss to wrap up the year. But I guess on the positive side, 1-1 in in-state games. At 500, they beat Duke, but they're going to lose to NC State. So my final record is 4-8. That's what I'm going with here.
Let me throw in around the horn here before we go off. I think we're all around 4-8. I think all of us have. Jarvis may be 5-7, or is he 4-8?
I'm 5-7 as well.
You're 5-7. Okay, so is there a chance at 6 wins in a bowl game? Do you see a scenario where it could happen? Noah.
Yeah.
I do. I think some of these games that I mentioned earlier as toss-ups, if they, it could be a flip of a coin at the end of the game. 1 play, 2 plays. 2 plays potentially away from being 6. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely possible. And just because I picked them 4-8 does not mean be a better team.
Noah's coming in via satellite from 1975.
Yeah, Noah's Wi-Fi's getting choppy. But it's been 2.5 hours, so fair enough.
Riken, is 6 wins in a bowl possible?
Oh yeah, I think absolutely. I would say my prediction at 5-7 is only about 1 loss away from the floor. I think 4-8 is about the floor. I really do think 7-5 is the ceiling, because I think that Pitt game, that UVA game could really flip. TCU, you never know. I just don't think first game of the season is going to come out that strong. But I would say 7-5 would be my ceiling for this team. 6-6 is relatively realistic. That just means, based off the predictions I have right now, they squeak out one against Pitt or one at Virginia, and I think that's definitely possible. I'm gonna still sit at 5-7 with, again, a floor at 4-8, but I feel like 5-7 seems like the realistic, looking at it on paper, kind of analyzing this team versus this team. But again, 5 weeks in the season, we may be looking at it, and Carolina is the top team in the country, and they just got everything figured out. But who knows, right?
You know, it's college football, man. You never know.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, I can't see a bowl game. I don't even want to sound negative, but I can't see it. I think the quarterback situation is a toss up. We don't know how their defense is going to look. And plus I see some of the games being 50-50, but until we see the first few games of the season, it'll be hard to tell.
Jake.
I don't see it happening. Maybe it's just the horrible taste that's still in my mouth with how last season played out. You've had some of this off the field stuff kind of rear its head with this Michael Lombardi crap going on, and then obviously the Steve Belichick situation. Hope he's doing all right with his medical leave of absence and everything. Not to mention the question marks that we've talked about ad nauseum going into it. I think the defense should be. Let me rephrase that. I don't know how much better, if at all, the defense is. I think the offense should be better, but I don't know what the high end at the quarterback room looks like. I don't know how much better they're going to be, because I think there's some big question marks in the offensive line in particular. And also, like, how much has this coaching staff learned from last year? Maybe they've learned a lot. Maybe they've upgraded offensive coordinator. But guys, this schedule is harder. Carolina had one of the easiest schedules in college football last year. Let's not rewrite history. Maybe this schedule ends up being a little bit easier than we think it is, as we discussed earlier. But sitting here, I can't see a path to a bowl game for North Carolina. But if it is going to happen, AJ, it's going to happen in the middle of the season. It's going to happen at Pitt. Maybe Carolina finds a way to beat State late in the year to get to that final bowl game. But I think that middle portion of the season, when you got the Syracuse, you got the Pitt at Duke, those games right there is when Carolina needs to take advantage and try to make a push there. But I just can't see it happening personally, to answer your question. But would I be shocked if it did? No, but I'm not going to sit here and predict Carolina's going to get to a bowl game.
Yeah, for me, it would be them flipping UConn and Virginia, which I think is very possible. I do think 6 wins is possible, because I believe that the whole organization and the program and the team is significantly further ahead than it was this time a year ago. The Petrino factor is significant, cannot be understated. I think they're going to be better on offense for sure. I don't know if they're going to be they were actually pretty good for decent stretches defensively last year. I don't know if they're going to be that good yet. I don't know where the playmakers are on defense, other than maybe Greg Smith. I think Melcart, who needs to be more consistent. I'm looking forward to seeing Johnson and Jackson up front on the defensive line. They're going to have to be really good, and they may have to play a ton of snaps too, because I don't know 100% where the depth is there. I do think 6 wins is possible. Very quickly, yes or no? Could you see a scenario where it's only like 2 wins? Is it possible this thing goes off the rails, which a lot of people fear and projected 6 weeks ago? But the closer we're getting to the season, fewer and fewer people are projecting that, because fall camp is sort of it's like spring training in baseball, where everybody gets a little bit more optimistic. Yes or no, Riken, can you see a scenario of 2 wins and it goes off the rails?
I'd say no. I don't think Carolina is the most talented team across the board in the ACC, but I also do think that they all just are at a baseline good point. I think they're good enough to not let it go off the rails like that. I don't think it'd be anything as bad as like 2 wins. I could see some fluctuation here and there, but I just think the bottom line of this team is a lot better than it was last year, and they're going to play more to that standard.
Noah?
Is it possible? Yes.
Okay. We can hear you. We don't see you're stiff, but we can hear you. Go ahead.
I think it's possible. Yes.
Jarvis? What you
got? No, honestly, no. I can't. It's too many. I feel like they have at least 5 winnable games. I don't see them dropping that. No, really. Yeah.
Jacob, can you see this thing going off the rails and them only winning 2?
I don't think it will happen, but yes, I could see it happening. Yes, definitely. Don't think.
Yeah, I think I could see a tough season along those lines. I don't know if it goes off the rails. There's some other factors that have to come into play. But right now, I think they're a better team than a year ago, but they might end up with the same record as last year. I think they're sort of in that neighborhood.
You know what it is for me, AJ, too, is I have them starting 1-4. The biggest question mark for me is how does this young Carolina team, let's say they start 1-4. I think the real kind of deciding factor in the season is if they start at 1-4, how does this young team bounce back from that? Is it heads down, body language sucks, this team kind of gives up, people start looking in the transfer portal like happens all over the country? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that's the real hinge I'm going to be starting. Maybe they sneak a win out against TCU and maybe they start 2-2. Maybe things are a little bit different. But if this team starts 1-4 like I think they are, I'm going to be watching very hardly of how do they respond to that, especially with this team being as young and
what's the narrative?
Yeah, and what's the narrative?
And what are the
that
4
will
losses
start to
look
creep
like?
in. That will start to creep in. And yeah, it's a good point. Yeah.
If 2 are close and 2 are blowouts, the narrative could affect things. The questioning, how Bill got last year when things were tough for a while. Pretty damn ornery. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Any last thoughts? And we do appreciate everybody for sticking with us. 2 hours and 20 minutes. It looks like we've been on this thing. Oh, Rays beat the Orioles tonight. Oh well.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was going to.
They took 3 out of 4 in Tampa. I'm pretty happy about that. But any last thoughts, guys? I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it as well. But no, I'm good, man. I think everything's been said tonight. I'm really looking forward to the season, though. It's not far away.
I feel like they're way better than last year. It's especially like with everybody being together for a whole winter and summer and spring.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think everything's in much better shape. And I've been saying that for a while. I think it's a better team. I think this team would beat last year's team 8 out of 10 times and beat them convincingly a couple of times. But I still have to see everything come into play. I think obviously the schedule is tougher. We talked about that. I'm one of those who says maybe it's not as tough as we thought a couple of months ago. But if I have it 4-3 and then losing their last 5, there's a couple of losses in there. I think they'll play well. If they could flip a couple of those games, I think a 6-6 season and a bowl and showing significant progress would be huge. And I think the fan base would respond very favorably to that. I don't think that he would lose to fans. I think they would be there in November.
Yeah, I agree. I would say, like I was talking about earlier, how that Virginia game, in my eyes, it felt like a win for what the program was doing, where the program was heading, just the way you fought in a game like that. And we talk about the game, versus Louisville, talk about the game versus Virginia. You're looking at this, hey, it might go down as a loss, but if you're staying competitive against these teams that might end up towards the top of the ACC, that's what you want to see from this team. You want to see improvement across the board. And the thing I've been telling everybody who asks, what's Carolina going to look like this season? They're going to be better, but they're probably going to have an equitable record simply because, look, there's a level of competition difference there. When you look at it on paper, that there's just better teams they're playing. But I think they're going to be a lot more competitive in games that they lose. I don't think you're going to see the Clemsons of last year. I don't think you're going to see the TCUs, the UCFs. I think they're going to be a lot more competitive, and I really only have 2 blowout losses on this schedule.
Mm-hmm. 4-8, but I think they get better as the season goes on, and I think there's some games late in the schedule that they could potentially sneak out. So it's 4-8 for me, but it's not like oh my God, this team they win their 4th game and they don't even compete in the rest of the games and just lose out. No, I don't think it's going to be like that. But again, these are just preseason predictions, man. Y'all can clip me up. When Carolina goes 8-4 this year and wins the Meineke Car Care Bowl, which definitely doesn't exist anymore, then you guys can definitely tag me on Twitter and make fun of me all you want. I'm completely fine with that. I welcome it, actually. Please do. If Carolina goes 8-4, please go on Twitter.
How about the old Blue Bonnet Bowl at the Houston Astrodome?
Yeah, man. There's some good bowls. Bring back the Meineke Car Care Bowl. Hellman's Mayo is better than Duke's anyway.
I covered one of those.
Wrapping the podcast up on
I covered a few of those. I covered that as Meineke Car Care, Belk. There was something other, and then Mayo. It's been like 4 names.
Yeah, they change it every year, man. Yeah, the Belk. Yeah, they change it every year. I think I've been to like all 3 of those bowl games. I've been to Meineke, Belk, and the Duke's Mayo Bowl. So, all right, guys.
It was Continental. It was also Continental Tire.
Continental Tire. Yeah, it was.
I've covered all 4.
Wonder what it is this
year. That's the highlight of my career. Covered all four
as it should be. Things. As it should be. That's a proper bowl game right there. All right, guys. Let's wrap this thing up.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good too, man. I'm out. It's 2.5. We're getting out of here for 2.5 hours.
Hey, Alfred, thank you for your participation. I enjoyed it, man.
Alfred just said 4-8. Belichick gets fired. Is that his prediction? I'm going to act like that's his prediction. We're going to end it with that. Alfred Thames, 4-8. Belichick gets fired. I really thought he was going to end better than that.
We drained it from him, man.
Alfred's been trolling us all night.
There's funny. There was somebody commented earlier. He thinks Alfred's like a State or Duke fan. And I'm like, we got like conspiracy theory webs spinning in here now. So someone go do some research, backtrack his IP address. Let's figure out if he's a State and or a Duke fan. I'm just kidding.
State doesn't have any fans named Alfred.
No, definitely not. All right, guys, let's get out of here before Noah's Wi-Fi explodes and computer combusts on itself. My Wi-Fi is on its final leg too. I can feel it coming. All right, guys, we're getting out of here. I've been Jacob Turner. He's been Andrew Jones. He's been Riken Fuller. He's been Jarvis Hicks. He's been Noah Weiskopf. Appreciate y'all watching. As always, you know the drill. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. 60% off promo at the website as well. Links in the description. It'll take you right on over there. See you on the next one, guys. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Thanks.
Thank you.